time. Okay, so yes, very important topic. Chalo, let's get started. I'm showing the source code of yesterday. Okay, so what did we do yesterday? We went to start.spring.io. We got the first project from there. So from start.spring.io, we got our first Spring Boot app. In the journey, we learned about Maven. Maven is used for dependency management. So Maven is a build tool. It is used for dependency management, for build and execution activity. So it can be used for compiling, compile, package build, right? These kind of things. Execution. Using this, we can run our Spring Boot app. So we went to start.spring.io. We created our first project. We downloaded it. It was a Maven project. We downloaded that. We imported it into IDE. Imported into IDE. Next, we started our first Spring Boot app. Okay. Some Maven commands we learned in the journey. MVN clean package. This is going to compile. First, if there is any jar to be taken, it will download jars based upon form.xml. It will download the jars, then it will compile your code. It will build. Okay, it will run the test case also. Default behavior, run test case. After that, build jar file. This is going to happen when you do this. And when you are saying this clean, it is going to delete target folder. So every beginner should always know these things. So when you do this command, these many number of steps happen. Once you understand, then you can debug, you can do better things if your understanding is good. Okay, fine. Now, once we are done with this, how do we start our application? MVN. Again, two commands together, clean and spring-boot:run. This is how we execute. It is one way of executing. Today, we will look at the other way also. But this is how we execute our Spring Boot application. Okay. So yes, the project is already with us. Let's do these two activities. Right click, run as, Maven build. Okay. Clean package. When we run the goal here, don't use the MVN command. This MVN will be required if you are externally running it outside your IDE. But here, you don't need to do that. Just simply the command you can pass. Fine. Run it. Okay. Everybody focus. Everybody focus. We are already starting with the topic. Focus is key. And then once the session is completed, you should watch the entire YouTube video again. That is where I am giving the recordings once more. If you miss up something, because 3 hours, if your focus is going here and there, watch the video again and then practically do all these activities. Okay, right now focus. Maybe you can take a notepad and write down the key things, whichever you find interesting here. Okay, some of the guys are doing really good on LinkedIn. They are publishing the posts on a daily basis. Okay, so some of the members have started doing that. That is a pretty great thing. Okay, so we can check this thing out. Okay, notifications. Just see, some of the guys have started posting technical information on LinkedIn. I'm able to see these kind of notifications coming from some of the guys. Day 2 related, day 1 related. The important thing is on your LinkedIn profile, whenever somebody visits your LinkedIn profile, they should get a confidence that you are technically a very strong person. You're not posting all these things for likes or any kind of comments. You're posting this because if the HR comes to your LinkedIn page, they should see that you're a technical expert. Or even let's say on LinkedIn, you want some references. So when they come to your page and if they see your technical expertise, okay, then automatically they get the confidence that, yeah, we can refer this guy because this guy has good knowledge. So try to, okay, first important thing, don't copy paste information from chat GPT. If they feel that these all posts are directly coming from chat GPT, so automatically no one will refer you, no one will hire you. It needs to sound original, means your code, some screenshots about that, explanation in your own words, then only people will trust these things. So keep doing that. Regardless whether you tag me or not, it's completely optional, but in your LinkedIn profile, daily, or even like let's say 2-3 days, every 2-3 days, post one thing about your technical expertise in your whatever field you are into. That profile, let it grow. Okay, it is really going to be very helpful for you, and good that these guys have started to do that. And keep it up, continue it. Consistency is the key. Okay, fine. Now coming back to our topic, so daily by daily practice it, do it. Now, okay, we did the clean package. Now we are going to start the Spring Boot application. How do we do that? This is the command. Let's copy this command. We go back here, right click, run as, build. This in the beginning days, try to do this itself. Clean spring-boot:run. Be careful with the syntax, and then run it. By the time it is executing, let me open up our drawing board. Let's quickly start fresh. Okay, our Spring Boot application is up and running. Yesterday we discussed it starts on some server, and Tomcat is the server, and we got the clarity about that as well, how it works. So on Tomcat, first the request is going to come via HTTP protocol. The request will come to Tomcat, and then inside this our Spring Boot application will be running. Nothing but in GitHub, the open source code is there. That code is going to be executed, and after that your layered application will come. Layered app, nothing but your code will come. So the flow will be something like this. Whenever some requester is trying to reach out to Tomcat, means sending an HTTP request, first it goes to the Tomcat, after that it goes to the Spring Boot application, after that it comes to your application, and the reverse journey also happens in the same way. First it is going to go back to Spring Boot code, and then from Tomcat, and then it is going to be returned back. This is how the flow is. Okay, we discussed that yesterday. Next, we discuss another thing. Whenever we start Tomcat, it basically will start on some port, and it is running on some server. Local machine, we can call it as localhost. Okay, and then port, default port is 8080. Okay, fine. Let's run it. So if you want to connect to this kind of Spring Boot application, which is running on this port, we simply have the URL HTTP protocol:// syntax. We need to connect to Tomcat, which is in localhost. On what port it is running? 8080. Okay, that's it. This is how you connect. Currently, Spring Boot application is already up and running. So we can go here and check it out. Okay, it is connecting. From where are we getting this HTML page? Yesterday we did that experiment also. We added in static folder, we added index.html. So if after this nothing is passed, it basically is going to go to this kind of a page. Under static, it is going to look for index.html. If this file is available, it gives that content. So yesterday, for temporary testing, we added one file, index.html under static, and inside that we added some content like hello October 25 team, and then that is visible here. Okay, fine. Now we need to do a lot of experiments further with this Spring Boot application. So today we will start doing more experiments with this Spring Boot application. Something which is required for every beginner to really have strong understanding into. So one by one, lot of topics we will be discussing. So keep your attention strong. Okay, these are all very basic topics. Every developer must and should know it, because it can come anytime during interview, during project, on a daily basis. Okay, what is it? First, we started this on default port 8080. Okay, what if you want to change the port? Change the port. So that kind of option is available. Okay, so now देखो guys, you have to understand the concept, get the logical thinking, and whether you know how to do these things or not, you need to rely on AI. That is where vibe coding is going to further help you. So you need to understand the concept, and for building the application, AI is going to start helping you, and then you can do things in a faster manner. You don't have to really memorize anything, but you have to understand concept strongly. So what is the first concept? Okay, we can change the port to any other port. Let's say default is 8080. If we want to change it into 8081, how to do that? Let's say I don't know how to do it. Let's say you also don't know how to do it. No problem. Just go to ChatGPT. Okay, and give the requirement to ChatGPT. Okay, how to change Spring Boot port to 8081. Okay, there are several ways, multiple ways are available. We can use one of the way. Okay, what is it? Yesterday we said your configurations can be in property file or YAML file. Yesterday we told that. So you can take any one. This is the syntactical difference. Server dot port, you write like this in property file, and in YAML file, you basically write it in this manner. So representation is different, but basically both are configurations only. Okay, now you can simply change the port by doing this kind of activity. In the application.properties, you can open like this. Okay, guys, when you are working with IDE, you have to really master the keyboard shortcuts. So let me put something there for you as well. IDE shortcuts. Observe and learn. This is the biggest difference which I noticed between a beginner guy who is coming from college versus a working professional. They have not mastered their IDE. They still work like very basic students, take a lot of time for small things. But you need to master IDE on day-to-day coding. So what is going to happen? ChatGPT is telling us, okay, in this file, we need to add this. Okay, this looks like a key value. So how do you open this? Okay, copy that. Don't spend much time to go to the left-hand side panel and open it things from here. You can simply use a shortcut, Control-Shift-R, and then any kind of file can be opened. And then you provide that name here. It will search automatically, and using this, you open it. Because right now we have only 2-3 classes, but as you go in the project, it will start having maybe hundreds and 500 classes, and a lot of things might be here and there. So searching it by expanding will take a lot of time, and it sounds very basic and immature also. It looks like a very newbie, fresh person. So start using shortcut. So what is that, guy? Control-Shift-R, and then typing the name of the file, you can open it. Okay, so that is what it is. Control plus Shift plus R is open resource. Okay, fine. Next, moving. Next, what ChatGPT is saying. Inside this, we need to add this kind of configuration. Okay, so we will be adding this kind of configuration. Okay, save it. Currently, we know that whenever we make any modification, we need to restart the Spring Boot application. So there is a way by which it will automatically happen. Today we will discuss that. But for now, we need to restart the Spring Boot application. Okay, restart, change and restart Spring Boot app. Okay, let's do that. So how do you do that? You first stop this one, then you do like this. Sometimes error might just come. We did not do anything wrong. Error is coming. Sometimes IDE might do this kind of drama. Just go to project, clean. You did not make any mistake, but sometimes IDE is showing this kind of red mark because internally something might have gone wrong. So you can do project clean. Okay, just clean the project and it will just try to freshen things up and that error is gone. So very commonly you might have to use this project clean. You did not make mistake, still IDE is causing some problems to you. Okay, project clean. Next, let's try to execute it. Right click, run as. I will skip the build part right now and directly go to clean spring boot :run and go. You need to learn to read these logs, what is happening. Okay, so Spring Boot application is coming up. How do you make sure it is coming up? Yesterday we discussed. You have to do multiple checkpoints before you start testing. Okay, before you start testing, multiple checkpoints. What is that? First, is every file saved? If you have some unsaved file, this is going to show that you have some unsaved file. Make sure, first of all, everything is saved. Many times juniors make mistake making code changes, not saving the file. It takes a lot of time. So step number 1, ensure save all. Okay. Step number 2, make sure there is no compilation problem. So in the problems tab, if there is any compilation problem, it is going to be visible here. For example, let's say int a. I just write it like this. It's a compilation problem. Automatically it is visible here, syntactical error. So sometimes when you have saved it, if there is a compilation problem, go to problems tab. Here you can find it all. So if there is all these issues, you have not saved it, compilation problem is there, so you cannot even test your application. So that is the second thing. Ensure save all. Okay, ensure no compilation errors. Okay, that is step number 2. Okay, so now let's say I'm removing this. So automatically no compile. How do you see this? Problems tab. In problems tab. Okay, after that, you have started your Spring Boot application. So you should look in the console. Here, option to terminate should be there. And last one, Tomcat started on port. This should be there. Okay, so then in console, option to terminate should be there. Don't skip these steps as beginner. You will spend a lot of time in just wasting. Okay, what is going on? What is going on? Stick with this simple discipline, and then log final statement should be this one. Okay, started on whatever port. So first experiment we did today was change the port into something else. Observe, when you change that, it is automatically starting on that port. So that means if you go to the browser now, after that comes your testing. After this, you do your testing. Step number 5, test it. Testing is like going to the browser, and now you can make it 8081 and then start, and yes, it is working. Okay, so if you can start here, it is working. 8080 is not going to work. So first experiment, we can change the port number. Okay, that's very good. Now next experiment, experiment number 2. Experiment number 2. Okay, can we run 2 services at the same time? Okay, now just imagine it visually. What are we saying? Dekho, you can go here and you can again do this, right? Currently, dekho, it is already running. Everything is up. What if you do this again? Right click, run as Spring Boot application 2 times. Will it work? Will it not work? Right? Again, very basic. Everybody should understand. Dekho, what happens is you can run the same project multiple times. Okay, firstly, let's say this is a Spring Boot application. So you have a Spring Boot application which we have written, first app. Now you are doing this command, clean spring-boot:run, and then your Spring Boot application has started. So one Tomcat is going to come up, and based upon our current system, It will take port 8081. Now let's say for the same first application, you are running same command once more. You can do that, right? You can run this command a number of times. Who is stopping you? Okay, what will happen is when you try to run this for the second time, it will again start this Tomcat server and it will try to occupy 8081. Okay, now you need to understand this is not allowed. It will try to take 8081, but two services cannot occupy one port. That's the learning you should take here. Okay, always port will be occupied by one of the service. If one service is occupying this port, second service cannot do that. So that's the learning here. Two services, okay, we can execute, but point is two services cannot occupy same port. We need to be aware of this one. If you try to do it, it will get into some error, some kind of problem. Let's look at that problem. So currently it is already running. Let's say we don't make any change in the code. We go back here, right click, run as, and then again, same command. Let's try to run again. Clean spring-boot : run, and then you can run it again. Second time we are trying. It is trying to start the project. Okay, errors. The problem happened. The activity did not complete. Why did the activity did not complete? Just say application failed to start. Web server failed to start. Port 8081 is already in use. Because a lot of students, basically, these errors are telling you what is the problem. And still they are like, oh, it's not working, it's not working. Please tell me what it is. Array, errors are there already telling you. You need to develop patience to read the error, to understand error. That is where your smartness will grow. If it is already telling you what you are asking for and to whom you are asking, errors are there to tell you the problem. You need to read it, understand it, and fix it. So please develop that kind of skill, right? So it is already telling port 8081 is already in use. That is what is this concept. Okay, already it is in use, so you cannot start it again. Okay, what is the solution then? What can you do? Okay, two solutions are there. This guy is already mentioning that also. Identify and stop the process that is listening on 8081. Okay, so one of the approaches, you find which other process is running on 8081 and then you stop that process. If you stop that process, then you can start it once again. Okay, or configure this application to listen on another port. So you have two solutions, right? One is you stop that existing one, and once you bring this one down, you can run this again. Second is you change this port and then you try again. Okay, let's try both the options. Currently, what we will do, okay, stop existing execution. How do you stop the execution? Okay, here in the console itself, here you can see there is a drop down where multiple options are visible. You need to be very careful. This current one is in terminated state. So the other one is the previous execution. So there are two options. One is in terminated. Another one is the previous execution. If you click on that, you will be able to see the up and running system, which was saying, right, Tomcat is running on 8080. So by this way, from the right hand side panel, you can switch. Now let's say you want to stop this. So please note, currently 8081 is already functional. Okay, now we want to stop this. Now we want to stop this. Just click on terminate. Yesterday we did, today we are doing it again. As soon as you terminate, you go here. Okay, on this port 8081, nothing is running right now. So if nothing is running, when you start the service, it is going to occupy. That's the first solution. Stop the existing instance. How to do that? We saw it right now. And now you can start new one again. Okay. So we go back here, right click, run as. These are very basics. Everybody should understand port, multiple instances running and stuff like that. So clean spring boot :run, and then you run it. From basic, we are going to get to advanced one by one, new and new topic. Okay. So here we go. Just see, now it is starting again. So yes. So you have to stop one and then start again. The second possibility is you can change the port and start again, right? For example, currently 8081 is there. Now we can change this to 8082. So it will become a second service. Old one is still running. Okay, 8081 is still running, but you have modified to 8082 and now you're running this one. Right click, run as, Maven build clean spring-boot: run, and then you can run it again. Okay, let's see what happens this time. So same project, just observe. Now it is starting on 8082. You can change it again, 8083. Again, right click, run as, build clean spring-boot: run. You're trying it for the third time. What does it mean? You can run the same program multiple number of times by changing the port. That is okay. Okay. So again, basics, everybody should understand. Now all the three are running. So if you go back here, 8081, yes, it's working. Next, 8082, not health and other things, 8082, it is also working. And then you go to 8083, it is also working. So three times we executed the system, one with 8081, second time with 8082, and then it was okay, it's not a problem. And third time we started with 8083 also. So three times execution happened. Okay. And now the point is, there is one terminology coming here. These three times when we execute, they are called as instances. Okay. So what does this mean? It means we are running three instances. This is how people will talk in your company. We are running three instances of first app. This is how people will say. So this is instance 1, instance 2, instance 3. Okay, so we are running three instances of first app, means same project is running multiple number of times and with different ports it is happening. So please be aware of that. This is what, when you start your service multiple times, each occasion, each started execution, we call as instance. Okay, this is what we need to be aware of. Okay, sometimes what happens, now just observe here, if you go to the drop down, all the three are available. Sometimes what will happen is, you will, due to some reasons, you will not be able to find the up services here. Okay, there are some cases in the projects where you cannot find it from here and you cannot stop it from this place. Sometimes it can happen. Okay, if you are not able to do that, then how do you stop the existing system? So many times people will get into this project situation that you don't know where this process is running. So right now we know here, okay, you can go here and this is 8081, you click here, it will stop. But many times it happens in project life, you don't know that where it is running. So you're not aware how to stop that kind of service. In that case, second option is available. Okay, you need to find the process based upon the port. Okay, nothing but just observe. So here you will go. Again, use AI for that. Okay, in my Windows machine, I want to stop the process running on 8083 give the commands to execute from command prompt. Okay. So like this kind of commands we would have to use. So netstat is some command of Windows. Accordingly, whichever OS you are using, explore for that, you will get some solution. Just you need to find what port you are looking for. Accordingly, it is going to tell the process ID, which is basically running there. And then you can stop that process by using some other command called as task kill /PID. And then you have to use this PID, which you got here. By this way is second way of stopping the existing service. Okay. So we would need this also. So you can stop existing service by running something like this. Let's say I will copy this command. From command prompt, you can execute cmd. Just go here, paste. This is the process ID which is running. So we can put it here. And it gave, let me put some example. For you, it will give some other port, some other process ID. After this, we are supposed to execute the task kill command. So let me copy this one. Here, whatever PID is there, PID is process ID. So whatever is the process ID which comes here, we need to take it, we need to put it here. This becomes the command. So you will take this command and you will go here to the command prompt, and then you will stop it like this, and then give an enter. Okay, process has been terminated. 8083 process has been terminated. Go back here and observe process terminated. Wherever we were running 8083, now that process is terminated. So we will be needing this kind of commands also many times in your project cycle. Okay, so please be aware, this is another thing. So a lot of time juniors get stuck here. I'm not able to start my service. What happened? Or think logically, if already it is running, how can you occupy again? So you need to find it either from your IDE or from outside using such commands. Find it, stop it. If you stop, then you can run it properly. Okay, fine. So these are basic things everybody is supposed to understand. Let me accordingly stop 8082 also. So 8082 stopped. I will clean this up. And now there is only one running on 8081. So fine. So we can go here. These things don't matter. These things don't matter. This is 8081. You run it and it is fine. Okay. So that's the second experiment. Done. Okay. Now experiment number 3. There are a lot of things we have to do today. So what I have done is I have simplified it so we don't miss out on any one of the experiment also. And I have just arranged that kind of list for me. So I will walk through all of these experiments today. Okay. So it is going to take some time, but these are very basics everybody should know. And one by one, we will be doing it. Okay. So we don't miss out. We will get into, in the end, working with Sonar, working with Lombok, working with logging. Okay. Adding some DevTool dependency, looking at some GitHub Copilot, Postman related work, and then so multiple things are there. One by one, we will start. Okay. So first of all, we have already experimented with this one, so we can mark it as done. Okay. So we can mark this as done. Same service cannot run on 2 ports. Okay, we marked this also. Now, third thing we need to understand. Let's go back here. Okay, experiment number 3. Check your Java version being used while application is executing. Now, yesterday in start.spring.io, we said we will be using Java 17. So that is done. But at IDE level, what is happening? Let's try to check that out. So if you go here, okay, just notice in the pom.xml, we have already said okay, it is going to be Java version 17. So this is already said. Accordingly, for compilation, this guy has added this Java version 17 only. So Maven has done its part properly. However, whenever you are doing this Maven package, Maven execution, observe here what happens. Starting your application using Java 21. Okay, starting the application using Java 21. From where is this happening? Some IDE level setting is also there. We need to make sure that is also Java 17 itself. Another thing you can see, whenever you are executing this year, the location is again here 2103. Okay, just a second, guys, just a second. Okay, so please understand this. So now when we are executing this, it is Java 21. So that means, and just observe this also, it used some Java 21.0.3 for executing. That means IDE level setting, okay, IDE level Java version correction is needed. So for every IDE, some other solution will be there. So please do it in this manner for Eclipse STS. Okay, so you have to go for Windows, Preferences, just search JRE here. Okay, click on this installed JRE. So guys, what are we doing? Anyways, recording is available. You can catch the details from there. But Windows, Preferences, type JRE, click on install JRE. By default, at your IDE, that 21 is available. Now, you need to point your, externally you have installed Java 17 from Oracle. You need to point that one here as well. Okay, so you can go here, add standard VM. Okay, what is the location? In my machine, it is located, Java is installed here somewhere. So we can apply the change. Okay, wherever you have installed, install JDK. Okay, when you are installing Java, install always JDK, and the JDK path should come here. Don't directly go for JREs. Okay, install the JDK version 17 from Oracle site. That path you need to specify, and then you do finish. Once this is done, choose that one. So you set up this path, it will read the required file, choose that one, click on apply. Okay, two things will happen. Even some compiler setting is there. Just see, the selected JRE does not support current compiler level, current compiler compliance level. So we need to change that also. How do you do it? You can directly click compiler here, or here also it is available. Okay, so click on the compiler. Here compiler compliance level is there. That also you need to point it to Java 17. Two things are required. Okay, so click a save, click on save, and then click on apply and close. Ideally, the change should be reflected. Okay, so we change at both the places. Now you need to continue with these steps. Stop this existing one. Maybe you can do project clean once so that everything is proper fresh. And then you try to run your commands again. Right click, run as. Let's do Maven package, clean package. Just see, it has taken Java 17 here, what we installed right now. So you need to be careful when you're executing it, what Java version is utilized, because by default, IDE might take something else. Right now, it is picking R related JDK 17. And now let's try to start also. Right click, run as, build, clean, spring-boot : run, and then you run it. Just see, it picked Java 17 and observe, starting our application using Java 17 itself. So that is the next thing. While you're doing today experiments, you need to set up, okay, set up ID level to Java version 17. You have to do two things. Installed JRE needs to be set. Second one, compiler setting needs to be done. Both should be Java 17, what you installed from Oracle yesterday. Okay, guys, are we clear with this? Are you understanding it one by one, all the topics? Give a quick thumbs up. Are we getting it one by one? We have to go much more topics. Give a quick thumbs up. Are you getting the point? Then we will start with another thing. And guys, that is where once you do yesterday first application setup, then today you can do more experiments. So without first application, what kind of experiments will you do today? Not possible. And if you have not done that yesterday, today 3 hours topic will be there. Lot of things to do. What will happen? By end of today, total 6 hours of thing which you have to practice. So that is where daily by daily you have to do it. Because if you don't do, project will never complete, right? And how will you get knowledge if you don't really do it? So you have to push yourself and daily work towards it. Okay? Fine, very good. Thanks for confirmation. Let's move to the experiment number 4. Good guys, thank you for confirmations. Let's move to experiment number 4. We are still dealing with the basics of every project. Okay, what is the experiment number 4? Let's check it out. We are done with this also. Okay, we are done with this also. Now, experiment number 4 is something very interesting. You can use changes like this. Okay, while doing the testing, so far we used localhost. Instead of localhost, we realized our IP is like this. So it is the syntax, right? This part means where your Tomcat server is running. So instead of calling it like localhost, we can also call it like this. Okay, 127.0.0.1. Let's quickly look at that. We go to the browser. Localhost is the logical name which is given to each of our machine. If you use localhost, it means your machine. If I use, it means mine. Instead of localhost, here you can type 127.0.0.1. This is the IP that is assigned to each of our machine. If I type this, it means my machine IP. If you type it, it means your machine IP. So we need to understand this is possible. Okay, let's see. http://8081. Let's go here. Okay, what's happening? Okay, we started. That's what, be careful. We have made some changes into our property file to go on port 8083. Because of that, it is started on 8083 and we are trying to test 8081. So things should be logical. Your brain should immediately say, okay, something is wrong with this. Either this IP is not working or the port is not working. And then you cross verify. Okay, we started the port here and that's the problem, right? So for testing, now we will change it back to 8081 and then save it. Stop this existing instance and then start it again. Right click, run as, Maven build and do clean spring-boot:run and then run it. Okay, so we can pass the IP also. Let this come up first. Now it is started on 8081. Now you go back here, and then you refresh it. So it is working. So we can access it via IP also. That's the second one. Okay, you can use localhost or you can use IP. Fine. Next. Every machine can be identified with another IP also. Okay, for example, if you do this command of Windows, IP config, it will specify okay, what is the IP of your machine, the another public IP of your machine. So it is like this. Okay, this is my machine public IP. So I can use this IP, and with that also we can connect. So please be aware, a lot of times all these experiments will be required on a day-to-day basis. So this is my IP, and then that is also working, right? So in your machine, you see what is your IP. How do you see that? You can simply type this kind of a command, IP config. So via that also, you can get your machine IP, and that also basically will work. So multiple like these experiments we can do. Okay, so localhost is one way. Why we are discussing this? These are very basics. Every time for testing, you might have to do multiple things. So you need to be aware of what options you have. And how did we find this IP? Using IP config command. From command prompt, we executed this. Okay, and then we got this IP. Okay, very good. Now, there are some cases, the way localhost is available, you can create your own local domain name for your testing. Okay, let's say you want to say something like my machine. Instead of using localhost, you want to use my machine. So yes, it is possible. You can do some customizations in your laptop so that you can access it in this manner. Okay, this is also going to work. 8081 port, and instead of localhost, you can use my machine. This kind of setting is also possible. Okay, in your local machine, there is going to be a file called as hosts file. For different operating system, these files will be differently available on different path. You can now search it on ChatGPT. But this host file is going to be available in your local machine. There you can configure like this domain name also. You can define all your aliases. Okay. For example, in my Windows machine, that's the experiment number 5. In my Windows machine, that host file is available on this location. Okay. In my Windows machine, host file is available on this location. But yes, you find wherever it is in your machine. And the thing is, this host file, we need to edit as administrator. Administrator. So regular edit is not going to happen. If you open this host file in your regular place, it's not going to work. So what do you do? How do you actually edit this file? You can simply do like this. Launch Notepad as administrator. Right click, run as administrator. Yes. So this notepad is working like an administrator. Okay. Now, in this notepad, we will open that file on this location. So do a Control O. This is my file location. Just select all files here. So under this location, there is a host file available. All these experiments are good to know for developers, because during testing, multiple things can be done by multiple developers. The more knowledge you have, the more better you can do experiments when you are working on project. Or you might realize some other developer might have done these kind of settings in his machine, and you are like, where it is happening, where it is happening. So knowledge is key so that you can do a lot of things, right? So you can just open this host file. This is how the file is looking like. You just need to establish the mapping. Just see. Just taking an example like this. Hash means it is commented, because internally operating system knows what is localhost and it maps. But you can set up anything else also. For example, let's say you just come to the last line and then you put this kind of a statement. You put this kind of a statement and you put whatever name you want. You're just mapping. If I type, let's say, my machine, it should be mapped to this IP. This is how we can configure our own names, and we can use it as well. Host file we can edit. Okay, let me do the save here. And now I will take this my machine We will go back here, and instead of using this IP and other stuff, we will put it like this, my machine, and try to launch. Yes, it is also working. This is also working. Okay. Now, point is I have some other kind of plugins of browser extensions installed. So it is just giving some suggestions because yes, it is not protected. It's not HTTPS. So it has some concerns. So it is fine. We can continue, not a problem. But just observe, we can change this also, right? So please be aware of that. That is fine. So sometimes people will do this. So I am just closing it again. And if you need, yes, you can use this option. Okay, here we go. And administrator settings. And now we can test it like this. It is working. This is experiment number 5. Okay, change the host entry for testing. Okay, fine. Chalo, we are done with this 5th experiment also. So instead of localhost, we can use multiple IP. Here one more scenario goes IP config related. This is done. Okay, this is done. After that, you can customize your domain in your local machine. Okay, fine. This is also done. Now, 6th and 7th experiment are very much closely related. So let's focus on these ones. Okay, everybody. Let's focus on these ones. Experiment number 6 and 7. Very much required because you never see a production website with this URL, right? Let's say whatever IP or anything you're using, you never see any public URL like this. Currently for testing, we are saying localhost 8080. But in the real world, whenever you access something, you never pass anything like this. So what exactly is going on? Okay. For example, if you go to this YouTube itself, where we are live streaming, how we are accessing, what is the URL of YouTube? I can copy this. I can come here. What is the URL of YouTube? Point is, this central piece, localhost 8081, that is replaced by this kind of a domain. This is remaining path. This could be whatever. So we don't care about that. But in the real world, this is basically replaced by some domains that we need to understand. Okay. So that is your next experiment. In real world, the server IP colon port is replaced by domain. How exactly that happens? Please understand there is a lot of technicality behind it. Okay. First of all, you need to understand one thing. How in production or any real-time application the setup is going to be. Let's say you are running your first app. Okay, so this is your first app. You're running your first app. It is running on port 8081. Fine. Okay, in the real world, this application is not exposed to the outer world. Even though this has the business logic, even though this guy on YouTube might be having some server running on 8081, 8082, 8083, but that is never publicly open. What they do for public opening is they install another software in between. These software could be something else. It could be a load balancer. It could be an API gateway, or it could be any other proxy server like Nginx. So please note that we are writing our first app. It might work on 8081, but in the real world, this is not going to be available for outer people. So whenever, let's say, merchant server wants to call us, we are not going to expose our logic which we are writing in first app. Rather, there will be one layer in between. That is going to be a layer of load balancer or API gateway or a proxy server like Nginx, which traps the incoming request here. That you need to understand. Okay, in real system, in real prod system, at entry you will have a load balancer or API gateway or some other proxy server. There are multiple other servers also available. Proxy server, for example, Nginx. Okay. Now, second point you need to understand. On this, basically 2 ports are going to be available. Only 2 ports as a standard, which is 443 and 80. That's it. Outer world can talk to this only via these 2 ports. 443 is the port for HTTPS connection. Secured connection, when that happens, it always goes via 443 port. And when you do a regular HTTP call, it happens via 80 port. A lot of juniors are confused. We ask, what is the default port of HTTP? They start saying 8080. Arey, no man, that is a default port of Spring Boot. 8080 is the default port of Spring Boot. HTTP default port is 80. That's it. So what is going to happen? Okay, when we call, let's say this kind of guy, studio.youtube.com. Okay, so what will happen in the real world is there is going to be some other service called as domain service, DNS provider, domain naming server, right? Or domain name server, something. DNS providers will be there. For example, GoDaddy, Cloudflare. Amazon is also providing some services for managing DNS. Okay, a lot of providers are available. Namecheap is another provider. Okay, these providers are going to do domain mapping. Okay, what exactly is domain mapping? So in this provider, available for public, you can take your own account, you can set it up there. There, they are going to set up, the YouTube team would have done this kind of domain setup. Whenever studio.youtube.com is accessed in the world, studio.youtube.com is accessed in the world, then the IP or the domain name of this load balancer is going to be utilized. So load balancer is going to have an IP or some domain name, logical name. So let's say for simplicity, we say IP address. It could be anything. That kind of mapping is going to be available in DNS provider, not the port mapping, please realize. In the DNS provider, we only map the load balancer IP. A load balancer or API gateway or Nginx server, whatever you might be using in your project, that IP you will be providing. Note that there is no port configuration. No port configuration. Because the world works on default port. HTTPS means 443, HTTP means 80. Okay, what does this mean? Whenever somebody, let's say from your browser, you type something like this, https:// this one, it will first go to the domain name server, and then it will resolve what destination IP I have to connect to, and then it will see, okay, because the port was like this, so automatically now it is going to transform, saying, okay, the load balancer IP will be replaced, and then port will be automatically assigned 443, and then the remaining path, whatever it is. Okay, that will be taken care by default. If you put something like this, let's say if you put something like this, HTTP, then what will happen? In your browser, you're typing http://studio.youtube.com. It will go to the domain name, it will get the IP, and then it will take that IP here, and then it will replace this with 80, and then the remaining thing will continue as it is. So for our testing, we are using localhost :8080. That is under the hood story. In real world, the setup is going to be done in this manner, where there is going to be a mandatory entry-level software which will only expose these 2 ports. You're not exposing your 8081 or 8082. They cannot connect via that. entry is going to happen via that, via these kind of ports always. Okay. And then domain, when you configure, they will look for 443 or 80 of this destination based upon HTTPS or HTTP, and then you call here. And in this server, there will be routing configured, how exactly to internally connect to 8081 related server. That will be internal configuration. They can talk like that. You might have another service running on 8082, no problem. These guys can talk with that also. It is okay. Internally, you can run it whatever, that is completely fine. Okay, please understand this. Now, let's say you want to do some experiments. You want to do these kind of experiments, how it is all possible. Okay, only for experimenting purpose, we can do something like this. Okay, what is that? Just observe. These are just hacks and just experiments. What if we start our server on 8080? Fine, it is for entry level. But what if we start only for testing? So I will change this port and make it 808, just 80, which is the default port for HTTP. Okay, I'm saving this. Let's stop this kind of process. Start it here, right click, run as, build, clean, spring-boot, run, and run it. Okay, let's see. Yes, the port is started. Think about it. What is going to be a testing URL now? After this experiment, what is going to be a testing URL? Just 80, right? So I take this and we go back to browser, and then we open here 80, give an enter. Just see what is happening. The browser basically just remove the port automatically, because browser knows that if somebody is trying only HTTP, then the browser knows I need to default use this kind of port. So if you use anything other than 80, then the browser is retaining that. But if you are giving 80, the browser knows, yes, I have to do it like that only. So basically what is happening is, even if you just access like this, the browser will add 80 automatically and is going to internally let that flow happen. So that is how you can simply type only http//localhost and give an enter. It is still working, because the real world is designed, whenever HTTP call happens, if there is no port specified, go ahead with 80, and that's how the communication is going to happen. If you use HTTPS, then 443 will happen. But accordingly, HTTPS means SSL certificate is required. So if that certificate is not there, it will be into problems. Okay. Now this is interesting thing. Let's look at it like this. We go to google.com, right? Let's say google.com. You want to know what is the IP behind the screen mapped IP of Google. So we can imagine in this google.com also, in the domain somewhere, this Google is going to be available. And for this google.com domain, www domain, there is going to be some destination IP mapped. If you want to know that, okay, there are commands for that also. For example, you can just go to here and do ns lookup google.com. Just do like this. So when you do ns lookup and any domain, you're basically connecting to your domain registry, the nearby, based upon ISP, internet service provider, is going to take you to the nearest domain resolver, and from there this information will be available, and it is giving you that information. Okay, for this google.com, what is the destination IP configured? This is IPv4, this is IPv6. Again, every developer is supposed to know these. These are basics of how real world works, must have this much of knowledge. Otherwise, what can you really debug? You're stuck somewhere, you don't have knowledge, you are completely lost basically. So what does this mean? If you want to access Google, what about I type it like this? I copy this IP and let's try to do something like this, http:// like this. Let's see what Google does. Okay, observe. They tracked my request and internally redirected. So they have done some setting at their side that with IP, when somebody is calling, the browser is further redirecting it to a google.com. Even though I did HTTP based, I made like this kind of call. Still, Google might have opened some input at 80 and internally they redirected it to this URL. So they enabled that kind of routing on this. So even though I accessed like this, it further moved it into this one. But the point to be realized is, yes, whenever you're specifying like this, 80 port is by default going, and now there could be some logic defined. How do you want to handle that? This is how real world applications are possible. So you can do that experiment by starting your application on 80 and using this simple local host. You can access it the way it works in real time. So guys, this was the next two experiments which every developer should basically understand. What is that? Instead of 8080, if you set it up like this, how it really works, you need to be aware of that. You don't have to give that IP in the input, and at the same time, using this NS lookup kind of command, you can basically find what is the IP and experiment with that also. You will need this many times in your project to really test what IPs are mapped to a certain domain, and it is a very handy command, NS lookup, and then you specify your domain. I will take this and then put it into Notepad for your reference as well. Okay, this gives an IP, and using that you can pass something like this. Okay, very good. We are done with two experiments. Okay, this is fine. Here we are done with another experiment. Okay, now we need to go. This is a big one now. We need to do some more coding. We did a lot of experiments around all these basics. Now our next aim is, our next experiment is, we need to do some coding. Okay, we will create a simple REST API which will do addition of two int values. Okay, and return the sum. This kind of REST API we want to do. Guys, we are not officially introducing REST APIs today, because that is a separate 2-3 hours of discussion itself. What is REST API? What are REST API standards? That we will be doing later. But today, we will create a REST API, which is a functional REST API, which can add two integer values, okay, and return their sum. We will do this using simple chat GPT. Okay. And one more additional thing we are saying, generally for your projects. So now what requirement we are giving? That we need to have our Spring Boot microservice. In that, we need to add some business logic to add two numbers. Okay, add two int values. Let's say we want to do this much, add two int values. And then external guy is supposed to call that. This functionality, we all know how to write an add functionality, a plus b, that's it. And then this is going to be called from outside. When we are writing this requirement, okay, we need to write it in layered architecture style. That is how clarity will be, layered architecture style. Next, we need to use Spring Boot related web mechanism, Spring Web Mechanism, all the corresponding jars. And then this is going to run on Tomcat. This kind of flow we want to do. And let's say whatever our endpoint is going to be, some URL will be there. When that URL is passed, this add method should be called. So there is going to be some input URL, some URL will be there. When we pass this URL, this method should be called. Okay, we need to make all this possible. Now comes the question, how do you pass this data? Let's say val1 equal to 5 and val2 equal to 10. You need to give this kind of data in input so that it can reach your logic and then do the addition and then give you the return value back 15. Now, how do you pass this data? There are multiple ways for all that. Today, I'm not explaining you all that. I'm just trying to keep it very simple. Using AI, we will build this functionality and use it also. But let me tell you, for majority of the projects, when it comes to passing the data for performing some logic, we choose to pass data in the form of JSON string. Request JSON, people might say, request JSON. We will be passing the data as a request JSON. Okay, what is JSON? It starts with curly braces and key value pair. This key, colon, this key is going to have this kind of a value. Second, this key is going to have this kind of a value. Like this, data will be arranged in the form of key value pair, and then this JSON will be passed to the backend. Next, backend is supposed to read this kind of an input, do the addition and return back. Don't worry, later in the further coming weeks, we will discuss more about REST API, how to pass this, what are the multiple other ways to do that. For now, we are not getting into in-depth discussion about all that. We are trying to simplify our requirement today that we just need to create a REST API for which we need to add two integer values. Okay, these two int values will be passed as JSON input or JSON request. Okay, and next controller should receive, we know layered application, controller is the entry point. Yesterday we discussed that. So controller should receive this incoming request and pass it to service layer, service layer adds, or let's say we will do this thing later. Can we do it later? For now, we will say do add logic in controller and return the sum. Guys, I'm basically preparing a prompt for ChatGPT here. So whatever is our requirement, that is going to become the prompt for ChatGPT. That create a REST API for adding of two numbers, two int values in Spring Boot. These two int values will be passed as JSON request body. Okay, controller should receive this, do the add logic in controller and return the sum. This kind of requirement we are just preparing. So for now, you should just simplify it. Okay, some add method is going to be there. Using some URL, we should be able to reach there. But when you use the URL, first you will go to Tomcat, then it will take to the Spring code, then it is going to take you to layered application, then your to addition is going to happen, and then return is going to come, and we will see here 15. Okay, we can further say, okay, two values. Let's call these two values as val1 and val2. What you tell to AI is going to do accordingly, right? Val1 and val2. And we can say our Spring Boot application. Okay, so we will revert the port back. Let's change it to 8081 and we will start it like this. So we will say our Spring Boot port is running on 8081. So we are giving all instructions to ChatGPT. Okay, let's go. We will take this. Let's go back to ChatGPT and give this kind of an instruction. Let's see what this guy gives. So every developer in the current times is having conceptual knowledge, then they use internet and AI and they can build anything. Okay, and now just observe this guy saying you want port 8081 means server.port value should be set up like this. Okay, next you want some request DTO. Fine, what is DTO? Yesterday we said that model will be there. So DTO is also one of the variation. We will understand this later. Okay, this guy is already using some Lombok. No, we don't want Lombok right now. That is a later plan. By point number 13 today, we will understand Lombok. So not right now. Right now, it's not the time. We want to keep it simple, the way every core Java developer can understand. So we will say, okay, don't use Lombok. Don't use Lombok. We will understand that later. Okay. Let it recorrect its code. Okay. Port is done. Now, without Lombok, this is how we can create a Java object. Request will be there. Two values are there. We told it use the name val1, val2, and accordingly some getter setters. In core Java, you know how to write getter setters, right? How to create this Java class. Everybody knows in core Java. Fine, that is done. A request Java class we created, which will represent this to int. Fine. Next, move further. Always entry to the application will happen via controller. We need to create a Java class and annotate it with something called as REST controller. For now, no need to get into these annotations, but just understand layered application, controller is the entry point. So Spring team has created some annotation called as REST controller, which will make our class as the entry class of the application. Okay. Furthermore, this guy is doing some logging also, SLF4J. For now, we will not care about logging. Let's keep it simple also. No need to even log all these values that we will modify later. One by one, we will do that. So we can say, okay, no need to log. Remove SLF4J. One by one, we will learn that. All these are concepts that we need in the IT industry. So AI can give you a lot of things, but you need to understand what it is giving, how much you need. And if you don't know something, you have to explore and then choose what needs to come out. Don't blindly just take it. So knowledge is the key in the times of AI. So you can pick properly what code is needed for your application and remove what you don't want. So we need to have that kind of strong knowledge. Okay, so now object is created, controller is written. Now it is looking very simple, right? Take the input request. Maybe for taking the input request, this another annotation is there. For now, no need to worry. We will discuss it later. But fine, input is coming. That is going to go here. You are simply doing sum of two int values, taking the sum, returning the value. That's it. Okay, fine. And then you go down, your start application is there. Okay, that's it. How to test? You need to call this API. We know till this point, HTTP protocol, where the server is running, what port it is running on. Next, this defines how to reach to this add method. So somehow it is there. When you do this /add /API/add, you basically will go to this method. For now, just understand that whenever an input comes, some method should execute in your controller, and all this code is making that possible. And you need to pass this kind of a JSON in the request so that you can get certain response. That's it. Okay. So guys, let's say even though you don't know REST API, but you're a logical person, reading this, some things will start making sense to you. You know that you can connect to a Tomcat server using a URL. And maybe now your next thought is, I have written some add method. My add method should be called somehow. How to make it possible? How will Spring know I need to call this add method? That's simple. I need to tell something in my URL. Spring is going to read this and then call my add method. Accordingly, it has given /API/add. So when we write /API/add, Spring is going to read these additional annotations and then identify I need to go to this method, and then it will run the business logic. Even though you know this or not, if you can think, you can draw those conclusions. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to understand what is happening here. You have written a method. Whenever an incoming request is coming, that request should reach to your method. How to do that? Okay, some path should be there, and you configure that path like this using this /API/add, and then it will reach out there. It is simple. So don't complicate simple things. Okay, lot of new experiments. In 2 days, we are seeing a lot of new experiments. Some things you might already know, some things might be new. But if you work in the right manner, a lot of new things can be taken in a very short period of time also. That is where we are saying within 2 months itself, you would gain knowledge equivalent to 1 to 2 years of strong working professional. It's matter of practice. You have to practice it very strongly, but knowledge will be there because daily we will touch multiple aspects. So many aspects, back to back, back to back. So fine, now let's resume. We need to build, that's it, simple system. Okay, we already have this port, so no need to worry. This packaging we have not discussed yet, so I will not get into much packages. What I will do right now is, we will just create a new package. Okay, first, let's say right click, new. Guys, we are creating the first Java class. Controller is the entry point, so we will create a controller. Okay, right click, new Java class. What is the name of the controller? Addition controller. Take it here, addition controller. Yesterday when we said layered application, we said using packages it will be done. Base package remains the same. Under that, dot controller. That's where your entry level code is going to be written. And then you do finish. This becomes your addition controller. Now, code inside addition controller, we are not going to put any thought here. Blindly, whatever ChatGPT is saying, we will be putting that. Just correct the package based upon our project. Okay. Right now, it is saying add request should be inside DTO. Okay. I will be creating another package called as Pojo package. Don't ask me why, because that we will do it later. Packaging we will understand later, why this kind of packages are required, what is the purpose, because there are a lot of discussions about packages. What I will do right now is, I will simply be creating this add request inside a .pojo package. In the project, we are going to follow .pojo terminology. Why Pojo is coming, for what thing, we will understand that. Not needed right now. For now, just understand, we need some package where we will put our input request object. Okay, fine. So finish. Okay, now what code goes in add request is this much. So copy paste, copy everything and simply put it here. Okay, remove this package definition, save. Fine, we created add request. You go back to the controller, Control Shift. Okay, I want to import this add request. IDE shortcut, Control Shift O. It will do very nice importing to you. Okay, so another IDE shortcut, Control Shift O, Control plus Shift plus O. It is going to organize your imports. So you don't have to do it one by one manually. Importing will become very easy for you. You don't have to worry about packages and all that also. It will just happen. IDE shortcut, Control Shift O, very useful. Okay, fine. So we did that and save this change. Okay, let's look at the further thing. Is there anything else we need to take from code? This is already available. This request we added, controller we added, demo application, the starting application is already there, so no need to do. Now we need to just test. Observe and learn. There are so many things in this one. Okay, we will get into REST API details later. Okay, why this input, why this JSON, and why this whatever you can see in the code, request body, post mapping. But for now, just understand, even without knowing those things, by just thinking logically, working with AI, you can build applications. So for smart people, IT industry will become much more easy. And those who are not able to think, they will start struggling even more. So you have to work on your thinking skills now, because coding is going to become easy. Let's say you have written a lot of code. You give that code to ChatGPT and ask, refactor this. Algorithms will become very easy. You can just give it and say, refactor it, make it the best possible optimized algorithm for time and space complexity. It is going to do that. If you don't understand what it is, you ask it again, explain all this code line by line, why it is the best, where it is the optimization. If you are thinking logically, you can figure out everything in the times of AI. You don't have to memorize anything. So today's session, when you practice, use ChatGPT extensively the way we are doing right now and build it everything from scratch by thinking logically. Okay, fine. Let's continue. Let's continue, everybody. So here we are. Here we are. We have added all the changes. Now we need to test it. But we know that what is our checklist for testing anything? Currently, every change we have to restart. So first, we'll go here, 8081 available. So make sure everything is saved. Yes, it is saved. Is there a compilation problem? No, there is no compilation problem. Next, we need to start this again. So we will stop this first, and then we will start again. Right click, run as, build, clean, spring-boot:run, and then go. Let's see what happens. We just took it from ChatGPT and applied. Later, we will understand it in detail, what every annotation means. Not required right now. Today, my point is, without knowing that, also you can build, learn that part. Okay, so if you can think with AI, you can do 10 times faster work, that too without knowledge also, right? So, and then you will learn things on the fly as you go through. What has happened? 8081, 8081, it is running. Okay, so this much is taken care. If you open this code of addition controller, just notice this. There is one observation to do here. This add is a post method. In school, college time, you might have understood there is a concept of HTTP verbs. HTTP verbs or HTTP method. There could be get method, there could be post method, there could be head method, there could be put method, there could be patch method, there could be delete method. Okay. Now, one interesting observation we need to have here. Let's go. Let's have that observation. When ChatGPT has asked us to do the testing, it is saying this request is a post request. Post request, we can pass the request body as JSON. One thing you observe, if you copy this request, 8081, so far we were doing always testing from our browser only, right? Let's say you go here, paste it here. Okay, I'm doing one ID short. Let's just launch it. Okay, it's giving problem. Just observe, same URL, when we were just working with this no further path, it was working. Now we took that URL, we came here. Okay, what is our observation? Let's do one browser debugging. Right click, inspect, go to the network tab. Many times developer, when you are doing testing, you might need to play around with browser tools also. So right click, inspect, go to the network, and then try to refresh. Observe this add call which we made. What happened for this add call? When you type any URL in the browser, it goes as get request. And in the backend, you have written this request as post request. Means you are trying to incorrectly access some information. And that is where the Spring system itself is telling back, saying, hey, method not allowed. You are passing your HTTP request method as get. It is not allowed because we have a system where post is supported, not get. So what are the observations here? The browser by default always passes get. The browser URL, when you type, always the URL is going to be get in nature. You cannot call post method from this browser URL. Okay, so a lot of observations. Okay, what is our first observation here? Okay, browser, okay, whatever you type, whatever request URL you put in browser, will always pass as get request, get HTTP method. Why this get and post? How we are supposed to use that in the project? Again, we are saying all those core details we will discuss later. When we discuss REST API standards, then we need to understand all these things very thoroughly. 3 hours topic only to understand these things. But that is part of later. Today, we are just trying to understand it, touch it at a high level so we can continue with our experiments. Whatever request URL you put in the browser will always be passed as get HTTP method. Basics, these are ABCDs of engineering, ABCDs of building softwares. So you need to understand all these things. So it will pass as get. But our backend add method is designed is designed as post. How we can say that? Because some naming like this is used in the backend, right? Because this kind of naming is used in the backend. And just observe here, just observe, there is something coming in the log also. Request method get is not supported. Means whenever incoming guy is making an API call, it is coming to Spring system, default handler exception resolver. It is coming to the system, and then it is saying, okay, HTTP method not supported exception. Means what happened? Try to think logically. Try to think, guys, here. When you give this request, what has happened so far? Let's observe. Let's go back to the diagram. When you give this request from the browser, it went as a GET request. First of all, because of this path, you reached out to Tomcat successfully. So you reached out here, no problem. Next, Tomcat further delegated this kind of a request to your Spring Boot system. And this request went as GET. So now your Spring Boot system is checking in the code, is there any method designed to process this kind of a request? No, in the code, we have written our method, which is going to be post. In the code, we have written a method, which is going to be post. And accordingly, Spring is not able to find any get related method automatically. Spring is internally throwing some exceptions. HTTP method not supported, request method is get not supported, because here we have it for post handling. And then this kind of an error is given back from your Spring system to Tomcat, and Tomcat is rendered, and that is where we see here, hey, there is a problem, and this kind of error message came back in response to you. Okay, lot of things to understand, interesting things also. So this is how the flow happened. So now, as a coder, if you think, you will be like, okay, how to pass post request? You know, get is happening from browser. How to pass post request? Multiple options are available. There are some options like curl command is there. Okay, there are some tools like Postman kind of tools. So Postman is a very commonly used tools to make API calls. You can call these web endpoints using Postman, very commonly used tool. So guys, you have to set up Postman, and there are multiple other tools also, but this is commonly used. We will stick with this one, and you can experiment with this one. So you need to install some tool like Postman. Let's say it will show something like this. Let's open it freshly. Postman, go to browser, like download Postman for your Windows, and then it will download. You need to create an account there. When you are logged in into Postman, it will ask you to create an account. Use your Gmail ID only. They say, okay, give your company email ID, but all those things are not required. Use your Gmail email ID itself. Okay, so this activity you need to do. Install Postman and use your Gmail email to log in to Postman. Fine. So with that, some tracking can happen. Okay. Once it is done there, initially, all this thing is going to be empty. Left hand side, nothing is going to be there. Right now I created just something called as test collection. So for first time when you're doing, it will all will be blank. So for this project, whatever APIs you are using, you can start putting them together. How you can do that? Put them into one collection. Let's say we say create a new collection. Click on that. Blank collection. We are starting from scratch. Put some name to this collection. What name you want? Let's say October 25 CT. All APIs that we will need, we will put it here. Initially, it is saying add a request. Okay, fine. Add a request. So it is a UI basically, right? You can just make API calls via this. What API call we want to do? ChatGPT has already guided us how to do that. We need to make a post to this endpoint and pass this kind of a JSON body. Three things we have to do. So we need this endpoint. We need to make a post call. So you go here, you change this into post call. You need to call this URL, paste that URL, and you need to provide a body as JSON. Okay, so you copy this body, go here, and this is just a tool, self-readable, right? There is a body tab. So maybe in the body tab, we have to pass body. Intuitive, right? So you go to the body. Currently, it's showing none. We want to pass as JSON. JSON is directly not available here. Okay, no problem. If you click on raw, they give you the option. Okay, do you want to pass it as raw text, raw JavaScript object, raw JSON object, or HTML or XML? You can choose from multiple type. Currently, we need body as JSON. So we need to click on body, raw, and then JSON, and then paste that value here. So guys, this kind of Postman setup is required. And you can put some naming here. Nothing but this is add API. And you can click on this save. So it is going to be reflecting here also. So guys, this kind of a setup you need to do in your Postman today. That's it. Things to focus here. Okay, let me just put this screenshot. For beginners, it will be something new. For regular Postman users, it's basic. You have to focus here. You have to focus here. You need to focus on this URL. You need to focus on this name change. You have to click here save. You need to click here raw. You need to choose here JSON, and you need to pass here this, all these things, and in the body tab. Basically, whatever you see, everything is important. You miss anything, there are problems. So fine, we made this kind of a request. We saved that kind of request. Now, let's call that and see whether it works or not. Okay, so let's try to call it. Awesome, it is working. Did we do anything great? No, it was simple. Add method, use ChatGPT, which we don't understand also. Okay, we don't understand. Let's assume we don't know what are these annotations. ChatGPT guided us. We just thought we are sensible, smart people. We are intelligent people. We just took reference, applied it, think smartly, and then dissected the problem. Oh, get is not working. Maybe post is required. And ChatGPT was telling post. You might not know Postman is there. Go to again internet. How to make post call to my backend API. It will tell you some of the options. Postman will come as one of the option, and then you install it, set it up. This one was self-intuitive. Means if you can think, you can do all these things. So unblock yourself. Don't get stuck on small things. Use your brain and think more. And we are able to reach out. We are able to make an API call. Even though you don't know Spring Boot, let's say, yesterday you don't know Spring Boot, today you are able to write one microservice using Spring Boot, and you know so much about ports, parallel instances running, and how this domain and all that works, and how to write your own API, how to write a controller layer, and then call that controller layer from a tool like Postman, matter of 2 days. And then the question is, what were you doing since past 3 months? Don't say, I don't know. Question is, why do you not know? You have to learn things. You have to become capable to work upon projects. Very important things, right? Okay, guys, whatever we discussed so far, can you share your understanding score here? And then we will continue with the next thing. Okay. Chalo, guys, please share your understanding score. Start a poll. Please share your understanding score. Let's go. 5 is for the highest, 4 is for less order, 3 and 2. Please continue. Chalo, guys, everyone, please do this. Everybody, please mark the attendance. Please mark this poll. Okay. Now that is awesome, right? 97% people, right? From 132, 97% is saying, I understood everything. Some of you might be beginners. Some of you might have certain experience in all this. But if you want to learn, you're focused, you can learn. Please take that conclusion. Okay, fine. Let's continue. Okay, let's continue further. So our next aim was to write a REST API. We did so many experiments. Okay, very good. Thanks for confirmations. But what kind of experiments we did? We wrote REST API using, okay, AI. Second, we understood browser is get, and we have to now make a post call. Okay, third thing what we understood, Postman can be used. Okay, very good. Fourth thing, can we dissect the flow now? Can we dissect the flow? We have written, this is our Spring Boot application. At multiple levels, the system is behaving. Tomcat is the entry level. Then there is Spring Boot code which comes in picture, and then our actual project code will come, and we implement project code using layered application. Right now, we introduced only controller layer. And in controller layer, we captured the request, we returned it back. Okay, with some. Next, what happened? Whenever this request came, we made a post request like this. Okay, we made a post request with this and passed this kind of a data. What happened? Step by step, the dissection happened. First, this request came to the system. Tomcat received that request. Next, further this request went to the functional code Spring, which is running there. So automatically, this request reached out to internal system. Post/API/add with this kind of a JSON. The request went here. Next, Spring Boot started seeing, is there any controller written? Because controller is the entry point. Spring Boot knows that. That's a layered application, is a standard of the world. So Spring Boot knows controller is the entry point of the application. So that means, is there any, let's say, REST controller annotation? With matching like this, post and /API/add. So Spring Boot is trying to search the entire code. Is there a method which I can give this request into? Currently, yes, we created a method like this. /API/add, there is a method. And in the method, some request body is expected. So what Spring did? Spring internally took this JSON request, converted it into Java object. Observe, our Java object is like this. So Spring internally converted it into Java object. So first Spring found the method, then it took this request JSON, converted it into Java object, and then passed it to you in this method. And then you basically wrote your business logic, which is take the values and return the sum of it. That is how the full flow happened. So it took it, it called this, you wrote your logic, and then control went back to the same layer. First Spring Boot took it, then via Tomcat, and then outer guy, and that is where we are able to see this 30 coming here. Okay, so if you make this, let's say 50, you make this 50, and then you pass it, your request becomes 50 plus 20, 70. That is how the flow is, guys. We have done with the next experiment also. Using AI, we completed our simple add functionality. Okay, now there are improvements. For example, yesterday we said layered application approach should be there. Means addition is right now our business logic. So we are not supposed to write business logic here. Controller is only for entry. Means Spring Boot will only identify which method to call. That's what controller is for. Some basic validation sometimes people might write here, but no business logic. So if you want to do this kind of addition business logic, you are not supposed to write the code here in controller. This is where juniors go wrong. Right from beginning, you practice wrong things. Now, we know that business logic should be written in service. So why have we written in controller? No, we should not do this. Start with discipline right at the beginning from your first project. Business logic should be inside service. Don't take shortcuts. So now we will not take shortcut. We will introduce a service layer. Now there are concepts. Controller should talk to the service layer via interface. Those kind of standards are there. But for now, I am not going to get into those standards. We will discuss that once we are discussing the packaging and Spring Boot components, right? Beans, a lot of internal Spring Boot framework concepts are there. When we discuss those concepts, then we will full-fledged understand it. For now, we will only do this one improvement, business logic right in service layer. That's it. We will only do this improvement. How do we do that? Okay, yesterday we noticed service layer means right click new. Let's say you need to write a class. Okay, and that class is going to be, let's say, add service. Okay, next put this into dot service. Okay, next in this add service, we will write similar kind of method. Okay, and whatever business logic is there, int like this. Guys, GitHub Copilot is working. It realized maybe this guy wants to do some add, and then return some. Observe the power of GitHub Copilot. I did not even write anything. I just typed I there. Observe how AI is thinking. I just typed I. AI is further completing the code for me. That okay, so maybe this guy wants to add it like this. Took the variable name. So power of using vibe coding. Your coding is becoming really super fast. And that is awesome, right? So fine, we are able to now add the two numbers. The value is saved. The value is saved. So we will create an object of this. In a Spring Boot application, we are not allowed to manually create objects. You should use from the Spring container. But for now, we are not getting into the depth of how the Spring framework works. We are trying to a simple core Java application with certain disciplines. That's what we are trying to focus. So we know how to do it in a regular core Java application. You can create your own object manually, right? Something like this. Control-Shift-O, organize import, and simply call add service dot this method, and that's it. It is going to return some value for you, int sum equal to like this, and then you return back. So what have we done? We moved the business logic into the service layer. That is how the layers are important. You can write add here, but that is wrong. Like technically you can write it here, but that is wrong. You are not supposed to do it. Controller will only track entry. Spring Boot is going to read the incoming request and just hand it over to the entry method. That's it. Don't write business logic here. Business logic will always be written in service layer. Service layer is something which is going to be under .service package, and here you write whatever business logic. Fine. And now we have created that object and we are calling it. Let's save all. We will test the application once. Save everything. Okay. Currently, every time we are saving, we have to restart the application. So saved all. There is no compilation problem. Whatever current is running, it does not have our latest changes. So we are stopping it. Clean it up. Right click. Run as. Keep doing packages in between. But otherwise, if you do it like this, it is still, because it first deletes it, then compiles and starts, right? But in between, sometimes keep doing packaging also, so that you can check whether the jar creation is also happening proper or not. But this also first will delete, then it will compile, and then it will start. So this can be a shortcut for you to do both things together also. Okay, fine. So let's start. Okay. So there is no problem. Spring is able to come up properly. Okay, fine. Next, let's go to the Postman and call this method. Yes, it is working. So you give something and it is working. Let's say you say 60 now, and then you call 110 is coming. Means yes, the code is working. So what did we learn here? Yesterday, layered application we understood. Now today we saw how it actually further works also. Okay, business logic in service layer. How to do that we understood by creating a proper service layer package, writing a method there, and this method gets called from controller. Okay, many times when you are doing coding, you would need, okay, from where am I calling this method? Let's say you are already in a project which is coded earlier. You want to see where this method is called. Right now 2-3 classes are there, easy to find, and you are writing, so you know. But when you are working in, let's say, 500 classes project, and you want to know where is this method called from, so there is a shortcut, Control Alt H. Guys, call hierarchy. There is a shortcut, Control Alt H, call hierarchy. Using this, you can identify, oh, this add method is called from this addition controller. So very commonly and must use shortcut. Go to the method and just type Control Alt H. It will inform this method is called from what all places in the entire code. It is very much needed for your testing. So let me put this another third shortcut here. Control plus Alt plus H will tell call hierarchy. Where is this method called from? Very important. Very important. Okay, fine. Next. Okay, next. Let's say you are in controller and you want to get inside this method add numbers. So you should not like search for add service and then go to that method. No. Here itself you have to do F3. You will go inside that definition. You have to really master these shortcuts. It's very common. Okay. Alt back I did. Alt back arrow I did. I came back. So guys, what is the shortcut? I want to know what is the logic inside this method, add numbers. I will do F3. Coding becomes easy, debugging becomes easy if you know these shortcuts. F3, you go inside definition of that. So for every IDE, the shortcut will be different. You need to understand those shortcuts and practice that one. So if you're using STS, yes, F3, it will take you to definition of that method or class wherever you click it. Okay. If you want to come back, now you just do Alt back arrow from wherever you clicked F3. You want to reach back to that place, Alt back arrow. Again, you want to go forward, Alt forward arrow. So you can do this Alt back arrow, forward arrow, back arrow, forward arrow. Very commonly utilized. So once you have done F3, you can do Alt and then back arrow to come to place where you did F3, and then Alt, and then you have to click on forward arrow. This will take you again forward. So back forward, use it. It is very intuitive. You will be able to do it nicely. Okay, fine, very much required. Okay, so we did these improvements. Cleared, done. So now we can confidently say this experiment is also completed successfully. This is done. Postman setup is done. Making the call from Postman is done. GitHub Copilot related testing we did just by writing one word, how it is filling the remaining full flow. Okay. Now we need to understand this another thing, guys. We need to understand this another thing. Whenever we are making the changes, we have to restart the application, and that is going to kill a lot of our time. So our next improvement is, if we make changes, then application should restart automatically. Okay, the solution for that, along with Spring Boot team has given, Spring Boot is for rapid application development. They want to save your time. They have given one feature called as DevTools. Using this DevTool feature, whenever you save your application, automatically Spring Boot is going to restart every time you save it. What you need to do? Okay, you need to take the POM dependency of DevTool. That's it. You take the POM dependency of DevTool, add it inside your pom.xml, and then restart the application once. After that, you will get the effect. So what is it, guys? If you make any change to your Spring Boot application and then you are saving it, Spring Boot should restart by default. Currently, it's not happening, right? If I give this, let's say, spaces, and I'm saving it, nothing is going on. Our new changes are not reflected. We need to stop it, restart it. Time waste. So what is the solution here? DevTool is the solution. Okay, what is DevTool? Some POM dependency is going to be there. Yesterday, we realized, right, pom.xml, multiple dependencies are possible here. Yesterday, we saw pom.xml, web dependency and all. Like this, we need to add one dependency of DevTool. If you do that, and then you restart the application for one time, after that, it will always take care of itself. Okay. Now, how to find this dependency? ChatGPT is there. It can help you with everything. Now, just go to ChatGPT. You just need to know the concept and just ask, give me DevTool dependency or Maven DevTool dependency to add to pom.xml. If you know the concept, internet knows the solution. That's it. You just need to take this kind of dependency. This is how you add new dependencies in your project. Now, first time we are adding one dependency. What are the steps to add a dependency? Let's understand. We are adding POM dependency. Steps to add a new dependency. Okay, get the dependency tag, and add to pom.xml. So this is the dependency tag. You copy this, you go back here. Generally, there will be these dependencies. Inside that, everything is as one dependency. So you just need to create a new one here. Just give an enter, create it here, and save it. Okay. Second important thing. Once you add it, sometimes pom.xml is going to give you errors. It will say version of this DevTool is required. However, okay, if it is not asking explicit version, it means automatically, depending upon your Spring Boot version, it has taken compatible version. So your approach should be, first of all, try to avoid the version. If you avoid it, internally compatible version will be taken. But in case it is giving you any kind of an error, you need to then find the right version and add your version also. Again, you have to explore on ChatGPT and all. Depending upon which dependency you're adding, it is going to always change. But guys, what is the second focus? First, get the tag and add this one. Second, okay, don't use version and check if it's resolving to Spring Boot compatible version automatically. Step number 3, okay, if not resolving version and gives error, then you have to explore internet to find right version and add to the project. Okay, fine. But for now, this dependency is already handled. It is taken care. Okay. Next, whenever you change, fourth, whenever you change pom.xml, you should always follow with clean package and clean spring-boot:run. Sometimes the changes are not reflected when you are doing it in pom.xml. So always stop the previous one and then start it once again. So you have to make sure everything is saved. Stop the previous one. Every time you change pom.xml, you need to be very careful. You need to freshly build and freshly start. Very important. So you will go here, right click, run as, build, clean package, go. Yesterday we saw this command. It will be freshly doing all the activities. So required. And then, okay, build is successful, means nothing is breaking. And then you do right click, run as, start it, clean, spring-boot:run and go. Okay, so far so good. Application is started. Go to Postman, make an API call. Okay, response is coming, means application is good. That is fine. But we want to see when we make any change, and is it restarting by itself? Let's say I give just some enters and then saving it. Let's look at console. Yes, just observe, it restarted by itself. So now we don't have to stop, restart, not required. You just make change, save it, and then observe the console. It is starting again. Just see, it is starting again. Okay, so it keeps starting again and again. So now I'm giving enters. I'm just giving one more enter here, save. Let's look at the console. Just see, again it started. So again, first it stopped the previous one, graceful shutdown complete. After that, it started it once more on Java 17 and then started. So yes, next experiment is also successful. What is that? Pom.xml changes. We used just this guy for it, ChatGPT. But otherwise, the popular place where Maven dependencies are available, you can just say DevTool, Maven dependency. Okay, just observe. There is a website. Just see now, these Google guys have also done this thing, right? So whenever you are putting something, Google is also running its own AI and giving you the results. So instead of exploring on ChatGPT, many people have started using this. Wherever possible, it is summarizing information and giving it to you. Okay, but anyways, explaining also the reasons how to have it, fine. However, there is this website mvnrepository.com. In this website, you can find all the required configurations. So you can go and explore on this MVN repository. Your mvnrepository.com will have all these dependency configurations of DevTool plus any other dependencies also. So this will be the ultimate place to get it. However, these AI tools are finding that information and making it more accessible also, so you don't have to read from much of the websites of the world. That's the power of AI in the current generation, right? Fine. So yeah, we understood this thing. So let me just copy whatever we have written and I will paste it for your reference here. So what did we understand? Get the dependency, add the dependency. You can directly add it, or there is a mvnrepository.com website, or using AI tools or Google search, whatever, get it, add it. Initially avoid version. If there is compilation problems, search the right version, fix it. Next, fine. Next, whenever you change pom.xml, clean and start it. And now we are able to see DevTool dependencies are working also. Fine. Next experiment is completed. So we can mark here as this is also done for us. Super. Okay. Next experiment. All these are important. All these are basics. You cannot keep learning these things for like 1 week. You need to finish it quick so that we can go to the project. And these are basics. If we skip these things, you will never be able to manage even a small project, because these are very common things. How to add dependencies, how to restart, how to auto change. So we are putting all those basic things together so that in one session becomes full handy and you can use all these things whenever you need it in the project. Okay, fine. Next, moving on. The next topic of experiment is just observe currently what is happening. This is our system which is up. You go to Postman and you are calling it from here. Okay. It printed some value, initializing some context, something. Again, I'm calling this. No, nothing came. Right? There is nothing in the console written. Again, I'm calling this. Again, there is nothing. If we change this into, let's say, get, and we try to call, okay, then this is coming. Error, exception, get method not supported. Means in some cases, these exceptions are coming. We are able to see this value. But when success is happening, we are not able to see anything in the logs. Okay, it is just working, but nothing is coming. Just imagine your customers are using your project in production and they are using the application. Okay, now they want to know the information from the logs. Okay, when I was using your application, okay, what value of val1 and val2 I passed? You gave me 110. Sometimes if your application gives 200 here, customers will complain. I gave you 50 and 60 value. How can you give me 200 back? Addition is a simple use case, but just imagine project of functionality, something is happening. Customer says, I passed input as my email and you are still not dropping me an email. Tell me what is going wrong. Point is, behind the screen, if you don't track the flow of your application, you will never be able to support your customer queries and you will never know how the project is behaving. That is the next topic. You have to trace the flow of application. When the project runs, you need to print statements in backend so you can understand what happened when some request came, what were the values of this input request, what response value we gave. Nothing but end-to-end flow of application is needed. And guys, that is where right from your beginning, when you learn even core Java, we work with system.out.println, because without that, how will you really know what is going on? So please understand, for every project, and this is nothing but even logging. We log information, printing information on the screen, which you can use for later investigation. It's nothing but logging. You can use system.out.println to log in, but that's not how industry does it. However, before doing something else, I would like to use system.out.println. So as a core Java developer, you will feel comfortable. Okay, yeah, I know this. And then we will realize, oh, there is a different way which industry uses. So two things we will do. First, we will log info or details using system.out.println, and after that we will replace the way we use in project. Okay, chalo step by step karte hain. So tracking the flow of the application means what? Okay, when the request came to you, Control Shift R, add controller. Just see, I can type it like this also. A and then C. Automatically it nails down. Addition controller. Okay, you can take some shortcuts. AC. Only the initials you can type. No need to type the full name. Next, you can type A service. So it becomes easy if you name the classes properly. So name the classes properly, name the methods properly. That's another tip for you. So it becomes easy to search for you also, for your team members also. Next, so AC controller. Okay. Tracing the application means when the request came to you, you need to print that. First, we will use system.out.println to print inside controller. And I want to print this value. So we will print this saying request and then request object. We will print it like this. Okay. There is a pattern of printing also. First variable name, then the variable value. Okay. Next, you are creating add service. Guys, dekho, now there is one more easy shortcut. You want to delete this line, Control D, Control D, Control D, Control D. Okay, rather than selecting this and then using a one-time backspace, you can just keep doing Control D. Very flexible. You can just delete whatever line you want. Very commonly utilized. Control D is the shortcut to delete that particular line. It is better. I found it more handy than choosing a backspace or any other delete button. Control plus D deletes the line. Okay, fine. Next, let's continue. Here, once the return is there, I will like to print that value also. Sum is like this. Observe how intelligent GitHub Copilot is. It understood that we are writing it something like this, variable name value. Earlier, it did not suggest it. But once we used it, now GitHub Copilot realizes, okay, so this developer develops like this. So for me, it is now suggesting it in this manner. If your style of logging is different, it will suggest you code accordingly. So AI intelligence is awesome. Customized suggestions are coming. The way I think, like that, it is helping me. The way you will think, accordingly, it is helping. So on top of its core intelligence, customization based upon how developers use the tool is also possible. Amazing thing. Okay, fine. So chalo, let's print these logs. Dekho, whenever we save, DevTool dependency is on. Now you can go back here. You can make the call. Observe. Now when result came, we are able to see those statements or not. Addition controller, request came, and response we gave 110. Now, add request, some object is shown like this when we printed add request. You know basics of core Java. You know that. Why this is printed? Because toString method is not available. Basics of core Java. If you print a toString method, automatically here, it will not print like this. So we need a toString method. How do you develop a toString method in an IDE? Okay, right click, source, generate toString, choose your fields, generate. See, toString is added. Control D, fine, save. Okay, here we are, saved, everything is fine. Test it once again, go here, print. Come here, super. ToString, you learned in core Java. Yes, we need it in the project. It helps to know what values of the object is actually available, and you can use it for your tracking purpose. Okay, value is coming here, return is going there. Now question, what is happening inside service? We don't know. So tracing an application is very important. If your project is not having proper logs, proper trace, people will not deploy it into production. Remember this. Just writing code is not important. Putting the proper logs is very important. Without logs, you cannot say whether it is right or whether it is wrong. and such projects will never be deployed into production. So logging is very important for production. It tells you what is happening in your project. Okay, currently we don't know what is happening in service, very risky for live system. So we need to know what's happening here. Again, we can print the value here. Let's say system.inside service, this is the value, then next this is the sum, and then you're returning the sum back again. Okay, now you save this. Before you test, what is your checklist? Everything is saved, there is no compilation problem, there is no service startup problem. Means here it should be there, and here Tomcat started. Sometimes when you make some mistakes, Spring Boot will not start. So you should know that I have made a mistake. That's how you have to fix it. Okay. So what is your checklist? We are repeating it multiple times so that you understand and accept it. Your mind should start thinking like that. That is where I'm planting thoughts in your mind. How to think, how to think. So whenever you are doing the testing, what are you supposed to do? Save everything. Ensure there is no compilation problem. When your dev tool has started, make sure your Tomcat is up and this is up. Once this checklist is completed, then only go to Postman. Because if there is a failure here, what are you testing in Postman? If your application did not come up, how can you even call your application? Right? So testing goes in a scenario. Save all, fix the compilation problem, service should start successfully, and statement should come started on 8081 without any exceptions. Once everything is okay, then you go to Postman and then you do your testing. Okay, we called it. Now we can see the flow. What is the flow? Yes. Now tracing the application is happening. Inside, first it went to controller. Then you receive this object. You give that object to service. You return this value from service. Same value came from controller. And now you return that value here. Know that without tracing, projects will not go to production. It is a very important aspect of every project. What is happening, what values your variables are taking is very important. Okay, fine. Now, that is the first part. That is the first part. Using system.out.println, we do tracing. We understood the value of tracing. Okay, what is the second part of that? We need to use, okay, logs. For now, just understand this conclusion. System.out.println is not supposed to be used in production. It has many problems. So if you are not supposed to use it in production, what are we supposed to use? Okay, there are some other classes and methods which we are supposed to use. Okay, guys, what is system.out.println? What is system.out.println? Println is a method which is having some business logic. I did F3 on println. Println is a method which is having some business logic. It is available inside print stream. Nothing but for printing something on the screen, you are taking an object of print stream and then calling a method, right? And where is this print stream object? This is out. So out is a print stream object in system class. Whenever the Java application is coming up, this value is going to be properly initialized, and then you can successfully use system.out.println. So basically what you are doing is, there is a class. Okay, when you use system.out.println, you get object of class print stream and call println method. This is what basics of core Java. Now industry is saying don't use this. So automatically we should ask then industry, okay, if not this class, if not this method, then which class and what method? So industry knows that answer also. There are a lot of Java classes and libraries available. The jar files, framework jar files, we said yesterday, right? Okay, somebody has already written the code and given in the form of jar files. Like that, multiple login frameworks are there. logging frameworks, or people might also call it logging libraries. Nothing but these are multiple jar files. You can use them in your projects. What are these kind of popular logging frameworks? Log4j, it is very old since long time. Log4j is improved, and now there is a latest version of Log4j2. So don't use Log4j, use Log4j2 if you want to use Log4j. However, the creators of Log4j, they came up with a new framework which is more modern, more faster. That is Logback. So multiple frameworks are available. And they created one nice wrapper on top of these tools called as SLF4j. Nothing but SLF4j is the wrapper which internally can use these logging frameworks. So that's it. You just need to understand what IT industry has done is, for logging purpose, they created something called as SLF4j, and inside that they have multiple logging options. Let's say going ahead with Log4j2, or using something like Logback, or using something like Apache logging, and they all work internally with this one. Fine, for now, not required to go into all of this. Again, it's a separate 2-3 hours of session about why to use SLF4j, how to use SLF4j. And guys, if you know, okay, today is, I think, Wednesday, right? Wednesday. So today evening on the YouTube, we have scheduled a post, a video of 2-3 hours long, where we are going to discuss in depth about this logging. So today evening itself it is scheduled. You will be getting it around maybe 7 p.m. IST time. So there 2-3 hours of discussion about this is available. You can watch that video. Otherwise, later in our live sessions, we will be discussing it fully in later parts of these sessions. So Spring Boot by default gives you this setup. Yesterday we realized, right? In order to work with any jars, you need to add pom.xml. But don't worry, Spring Boot has already added this. So you don't need to add any pom.xml configuration. So we need to understand Spring Boot by default gives SLF4j with logback. And many people use this solution for logging and they don't use system.out.println. If you still want to use this directly or via SLF4j, everything can be done. It can be configured like that. But default is like this, and many projects are using it like this. So we will also be using it like this. Okay, so what is our next basic question? Which object should we use? So we will use SLF4j with logback for logging. Okay, so our basic question, which class object should I use and which method should I call for logging? Yes or no? The way system.out.println, we create an object of print stream and we call println. Now industry is saying don't use this. Then question comes, then what should I use? Industry is saying use SLF4j with logback. Okay, fine, I will add the jars. Oh, industry is saying you don't have to add it. Spring Boot is giving you default. You already have those jars. Areva, very good. Then which class I should use? Which method I should use? Okay, go to internet. Again, ChatGPT is there. AI is there. You just simply say, okay, for this add controller, create a SLF4j with logback object so I can log the values. Let's see what this guy does. Spring Boot already includes logback by default. Okay, so it is already there. So you don't need to add external dependency. Areva, we know this already. Very good. Now, what are we supposed to do? Okay, instead of print stream, you need an object of logger here. What is logger? org.slf4j.logger. How to create an object of logger? This kind of statement is available. That's it. Using this kind of a statement, we can create our logger. Wonderful. So we will just simply take this, copy, go back in the code, and in the controller. So guys, what is this? If you are creating a logger object in addition controller, you will use addition controller here. If you are creating it in add service, you will use add service there. Next, we need to import these two. What is the IDE shortcut? Control Shift O. Choose the right import, org slf4j logger. Perfect. Logger is available. Okay. Which method? Now we know this object needs to be utilized. We know that this object needs to be utilized. Log dot. Which method? Okay, there are many methods here. For now, we will learn only one method. Let's say info. That's it. Don't worry about all the other things. Right now, we need an object of this. You just create an object of this. And I'm doing it live using ChatGPT in front of you so that you can also do these things by thinking logically. Logging is important. System.out.println should not be used. We need to use slf4j with logback that is built in Spring Boot. During interview time, these basics you need to be aware. When you say, yes, I can work on project, then question comes, how did you do logging? What library did you use? Which method did you use? You need to be aware of these basic things. Again, today's session is a master session which connects all the basic things. So everybody gets the clarity. Okay, what things are utilized during project cycle? Once these things are clear, we can focus on building project. That is different level complexity. But these basic things should be clear. That is where we are going, right from basic till whatever is essential for you guys to work on project. Okay, fine. So week 1 and week 2 is focusing on basic. Remaining 6 weeks, project related logic will be there. Because that much of basic core knowledge is required. Domain, microservice, Spring and Spring Boot, packaging related standards. All these are basics. Without understanding this payment domain, microservices, Spring and Spring Boot, we cannot really build functionality. So first 2 weeks, the plan will be like this. Yesterday we said it is a total 8-week program. So it is 2 months. So it is 8-week program. Week 1 and week 2 is going to be foundational topics. We will get into more details about PayPal plus domain plus microservice architecture plus Spring and Spring Boot plus end-to-end working in IT. More topics are there. We will cover it, end-to-end working in IT. That is the plan of week 1, week 2. And from week 3 onwards, project functional development is going to start, which is going to be till the end of the program. So our approach will be like this. 8 weeks of program is there. So day 1 of the program is what we started 2 days ago. 6th of October is going to be the start date. Start date is 6th of October and end date is the last one, which goes 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks here. 28th of November. 28th of November is going to be the last working day of this trainee program. Out of that, the breakup is week 1 and week 2 are foundational topics essential to work on the project functionality. We will discuss some project functionality plus domain architecture, Spring, working of IT. Right now, you can imagine, 3rd day, so many topics covered. We have a lot of topics to cover. Daily 2 to 3 hours of session will be there. And then from week 3, project functional requirements will be coded. Okay, 8 weeks are going to be arranged like this. 7 weeks will be live. 7 weeks live, and final week will be left for demo completion. So in the week number 8, we are not going to have any live sessions, but 7 weeks will be live. And in this live itself, we will be doing 100 plus hours. Okay, you can imagine roughly per week, we will connect Monday to Friday. Daily we will have around 3 hours of session, nothing but every week we will be having 5 threes are 15 hours, and then you multiply this with 7 weeks, we end up around 100 plus hours of live discussion itself. Okay, so 15 sevens are 70 and 35 is like 105. So 105 means roughly around 100 hours of live sessions will happen in 7 weeks itself. It is a massive knowledge discussions, and during the day you will put additionally, those guys who have already started coding, you are realizing we need to put additional time, maybe around 4 to 5 hours daily to complete on all the topics. So it is massive power pack session. It cannot be taken lightly. You have to put in efforts, lot of efforts for 2 months, then you actually gain strong knowledge. 100 hours packed into 2 months. Okay, daily 2 to 3 hours. It's going to be amazing. Fine. And week 1 we are doing it live. Week 1 is live public on YouTube, and from week 2 we will connect on Google Meet. Okay, and how to join as part of week 2, that discussion we will do tomorrow on Thursday. Okay, tomorrow Thursday we will be discussing who all are eligible for joining from week 2. But yes, week 1 will be live, week 2 will happen like this, and all the members at the beginning of week 2 we will be issuing the trainee offer letter. Again, discussion about this will be happening on Thursday itself. Okay, now coming back to our topic, we are saying we need to do logging. How do you do logging? Okay, how do you do logging? We should not use system.out.println. We need another class, we need another method. Okay, what is the class that you use? We use this class. We use this class. What is the method that you use? Okay, we want to use info right now. How do you use it? Fine, you create it like this, you call the info. Okay, fine. Let's first just save these two things. As soon as we save it, service is up. Let's do a test. Call it. Let's go here. This is coming from system.out.println inside controller. Look at this first line. First line. That is also inside controller. Request is like this. Inside controller request like this. And this is system.out.println. So if you read line 21 and 23, this 21 line is printed like this. Observe. So when you use a logger, you get additional information. What time, the method that you have used, info, what process is utilized, what is the application name, which thread is doing the processing, which class, which logger class you have used for printing this statement, and then what statement. And observe, all the other guys, even dispatcher servlet, which is written by core team, those guys also are using loggers only. Means everybody uses logger, nobody uses system.out.println, right? So these are the observations. We need to use something like this. We need to use something like this, and importing of this logger is coming from these imports. They are both part of SLF4J. SLF4J. So what is our next aim? We should remove system.out.println, control D, control D. And here also we will be writing logger. Here, remove this one as well, and then remove like this. This is done. Same we need to add in service also. So we will copy this statement, go to the service, add service F3. Here also we will be adding like this, Control Shift O. Next, when you write it in add service, you need to use add service class. So we use this add service here, and then this logger, we will be using logger dot info like this, and logger dot info like this. Delete this, delete this. Okay, changes are done. So what did we learn? Logging is important, tracing is important. Using system.out.println, we should not log. We should log using other libraries. Other libraries give us more information. Spring Boot is giving default support for SLF4J with logback, and how to create the required object, how to use the required object. Okay, lot of things we covered in the past 10 minutes. Let's do the testing. Every time, what is the testing checklist? Everything is saved. There is no compilation problem. There is no service startup problem. And then you go to Postman for calling, and then you check, yes, everything is coming now in a logger style. Information is there, but more details are there as well. Okay, another tip of logging: whenever you are logging, always use variable name colon value. This is the logger syntax. You don't have to concatenate. You can use this as a replaceable parameter, kind of placeholders. If you use like this, runtime, your value will be replaced here. Okay, so this is a syntax. Try to focus on this one. Using this syntax, we can do some logging. It's already written here. So this is what, if you are printing, so this becomes your variable name colon, and then the value should come. If you have one more variable to print, let's say you have two variables, int a and int b, you want to print. So what will you do? You will do a and then colon, the value of a will come, and then pipe separator, you will write b colon, the value of b. Try to follow this kind of convention. It will help you to read things properly. When this code runs, it will say a is nothing but 7, pipe b is nothing but 8, and that's how it becomes readable. So what is the tip here? When you log, always use variable name colon value. How do you do it syntactically? Okay, you will do something like this: info, and then you will put a colon curly brace, pipe b colon curly brace, and then comma, value of a, comma, value of b. This is how you basically do it. Logger.info. This is how you will write the statement. You don't concatenate. You write it with this syntax. The values will be dynamically replaced, and you will get like this. So multiple things. Basics of logging, you have to understand. It needs to be logged properly, otherwise you are doing waste. Statement should be proper. The variable name should be proper. It will help you in debugging. So tracing is important, logging is important, SLF4J important, info method important, pattern of logging also important. Okay, awesome. So we are done with this another point as well. Logger addition is taken care. Logger addition is taken care. The final two things for today, and then we will be completing the today's session. We wanted to touch on profiling related, but it is a big topic in itself. We will continue with profiling and environment concept tomorrow, because these are so foundational topics. So we took time in really experimenting. So once you gain the concepts, confidence on basic things, moving to the next topics will be more easy. Okay. So the final two things that we want to do today is working with Lombok and working with Sonar. Okay, guys, everything clear so far? Can we take a quick poll? Okay, let's take a quick poll, guys. Start a poll. Are we okay? What is your current understanding score? 5, 4, 3, 2. Let's go. So let's see what is our current understanding score, and then we will move to the final two topics. Then we will take the attendance and we will complete the session. Today, whatever we are practically doing, everything you have to practically do it 10 times. Do it till the time there are no mistakes coming. Looking at error, you are able to immediately think what is going on. Immediately you are able to fix it. Experiment. Spend time experimenting today. Simple things are there. but it will take a lot of your time if you are not in control ki what is happening. So experiment today, practice a lot. Okay, fine, very good. Roughly around 145 members have voted, and we can see majority is having strong understanding. That is awesome. Chalo, let's continue. Hey guys, if you belong into okay the top 20% of the IT industry, you will always be successful. You will get jobs, great hikes, great promotion. Always try to belong there. And currently it's great to see around 80 to 90% people are having strong understanding. So now many are belonging into that category. But those who practice, from there the actual 20% will be created. So understanding is step number one. Practicals and strong practicals is what will make you go in the top 20%. Okay. So step one is completed. That's good. Upar jana hai abhi, right? So practice is key for that. Okay, fine. Chalo, let's continue with the remaining two topics and then we will be ending the today's session. Okay, what is the next experiment topic? We need to work with Lombok. Many times people will use Lombok in the project. Okay, what is the need of Lombok? Everyone, देखो simple होता है, it's not very complex, it is very straightforward. Okay, Lombok basic purpose is to remove boilerplate code. Okay, you want to simplify your code by not writing okay unimportant things. You want to simplify your code. Lombok is going to simplify life of developer. Simplify your code, make it more readable, okay. Boilerplate code will be removed. Something which you don't want to write, kind of overhead for you, you can remove that kind of a boilerplate code, make your code more readable. This kind of changes can happen with Lombok. How to work with Lombok means, what is the outcome? First let's observe what do we mean by all this thing. Currently in our code already two examples are there. What is that? You go to this add request. Okay, you go to this add request. From this class, it has taken already 28 lines. But what is the most important thing here? These three things are important for us. These getters and setters, these are default. ToString, again, kind of basic for us. So for a class which was actually supposed to be only 6 lines of code, we ended up writing so much code in that. This is boilerplate code. We don't want to write all this. It should be assuming it by default. Okay, Lombok can be utilized to remove all these things and still the system will be functional. Okay, so one of the usage of Lombok is you don't need to write then getters, setters, ToString. Lombok will generate it for you automatically. Okay, that is kind of removing the boilerplate code. Your class becomes only 6 lines. It is more readable. It is wonderful. Okay, second, when you work with Lombok, okay, for every class we have to create this object, right? Here we created this object. In addition service also you are creating an object. Here also we are creating object. Like if you have 500 classes, you are creating this object 500 times. Lombok is saying, no, I will give you one annotation. You use that. Lombok will create this object and give it to you also. So it has lot of advantages. Currently, in our current code, we see 2 advantages. What is that? So Lombok is to remove the boilerplate code and all these advantages are there. We have 2 requirements in the current code where Lombok is helpful. What is that requirement? Requirement number 1, okay, no, don't write getter, setter, ToString. The second requirement is something like this. Don't write logger object. It should come by default. So we will use Lombok to remove these 2 things and then the code will become more simple for us. So how exactly to do that? Okay, let's do it. Two changes. How to set up Lombok? Two things. One, you need to use some annotations which is going to do this. So one, pom.xml dependency is required to work with Lombok. Okay. Second, some ID level setting is needed. Why ID level setting is required? We will discuss about that. But two things needs to be done. First, pom.xml you need to add the way we added DevTool dependency. Like that, Lombok dependency needs to be added in your pom.xml. And the second thing is, okay, ID level setting also needs to be enabled. How to add Lombok pom.xml dependency? Okay, we already have done it. Let's ask Lombok pom.xml dependency for Spring Boot, Maven. Anyways, once you say pom.xml, they know it's about Maven. Okay, so by this way, Lombok dependency is coming. So you can simply take this. You can go to internet, you can find it. You simply take this dependency, go to your code, pom.xml, you put it here, you put it here. Next, after this DevTool dependency, you try to put it here. Next, we said, right? If possible, try to avoid the version. So Spring Boot compatible version will come. Same checklist. Add the dependency, remove the version, and first check it out. Is there any compilation problem? Because automatically the version will be managed. So you try to avoid it in first case. So Lombok is taken, dependency added, you save it. It's not showing any problem here in pom.xml. So maybe it worked. Next, whenever you change pom.xml, you know the drill there. We need to stop this. You need to do once project clean, do this. Next, you need to do right click, run as, build, clean package, and then we start it. Lombok dependency will be ready for our project. Okay, now we are building it. Next, start the Spring Boot application, right click, run as, build, clean, spring -boot run, and then you run it. Okay, step number one is done. We added this Lombok dependency. Okay, we added this Lombok dependency. Why did we add the dependency? In order to use these things, Lombok has given some annotations. If we use the annotations, we don't have to use these two things. Okay, how exactly? What are the annotations? Let's do that. So if you added this, go to the add request. Lombok has given us an annotation called as @data. I typed DATA and did control space. So ID suggestions are coming. So this is also very commonly required. Don't type always everything. You can type initials, do a control space and click from here. It will import also and you will get it. If you use this @data, you don't have to write all of these things. Code becoming simple or not? That's it. Okay. @data, if you do a mouse over here, description is saying you will get, if you just write @data, you will get getter, setter, required, our constructor will also be coming, toString is also becoming, and equals to and hash code will also be implemented. Okay, so if you just use @data annotation, all those things are coming by default. Okay, how do you know that it is coming? Simply do Control O. It will tell you that, oh, get method is there, set method is there, equals is there, hash code is there, toString is there, constructor is available. Control O is going to tell you the inner state of your class. Again, ID shortcuts, Control O, very commonly utilized. I will upload this shortcut document also, Control plus O. Okay, you can find overview about your Java class. Okay, now just observe. If we comment this thing out, commenting it out, saving it, do a Control O now. Only two variables are there, val1, val2. That means when we add data, all the other things are coming. So from where it is coming? Okay, Lombok is generating that for us. That is where Lombok is there for simplifying your code, making it readable, removing the boilerplate code. Okay, so all this work, Lombok comes in picture. So we can remove this and then we can save this. And then when you do Control O, yes, everything is available. Okay, another tip, whenever you are making code changes, immediately test it so that you are confident you have not broken any change. So as soon as we add data, we go here and we try to call. Okay, yes, it is working. Now, another thing we said, in order to set up Lombok, two things have to be done. One is annotation. The second one is IDE level setting. So we completed the first one here. Now, what about the second one? Currently in my IDE, we are not facing problem because the second setting is already enabled. If you go here, help, about, Spring, STS, scroll to the end, you would realize Lombok is already set up in my project, in my IDE. So for that reason, I'm not facing any problems. If you have not done IDE settings, it is going to get into some issues. Okay, why? Now just imagine, okay, when we do Control O, your IDE should also be able to read these all values, get, set, toString. So some IDE level setup is also required for this. Okay, at the rate data is going to generate it, but it is not actually written in the code. So IDE also needs some intelligence so that it can properly read whatever is generated by Lombok. Because of those things, IDE level setting is also required. Okay, how do you enable this IDE level setup? Okay, so for that, there is an option, help, install. Multiple ways are there. First of all, if you go to ChatGPT, you will get multiple ways of doing it. But you can do help, install new software. Okay, and Lombok is providing one URL. Okay, something like this. You can find this thing on internet, ChatGPT and other places. Okay, you just put this URL. It is going to read that Lombok setting you're trying to add, and then you can click this and then continue with installation. Next, 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 finish. While setting up installation is happening, it will ask, do you trust this? Some checkboxes might come. You have to check those boxes, say, yes, I trust, and continue. And after the setup is done, you need to restart your IDE. That much amount of work needs to be done at IDE level. So it's a combination of two things. One is you need to add the pom.xml. So you can use the annotations like @data annotation, which is going to generate getter, setter, hash code, equals, toString, those constructor, those kind of things will be auto-generated. But IDE wants to read what Lombok has generated. For that, IDE level setting is required. One of the way how you can do IDE level setup is help, install new software, provide this link, Lombok, continue with the steps, do it, restart your IDE. This is how you can do it. Okay, it's already there with me, so I am not facing any problem. But yes, you need to do like this. I am just pasting all this information for your reference here. This is the second setup required. Help, install new software, put this, trust whatever pop-ups will be coming, and then close and restart IDE. Restart IDE or relaunch your IDE, the changes will be reflected. This is one of the way. If due to some reason you are not able to work with this way, you can go to ChatGPT. You will find multiple other ways, and for every IDE, some kind of support is possible. You can take some Lombok jar, and then wherever your IDE exe file is there, you can put it up and start from that place. So there are multiple ways of which Lombok can be enabled. You can follow this kind of a way and get started. So two kind of setup required: POM dependency and this setting. The power here is now our code is more simplified. We don't have to write now long classes. Okay. Second thing we said we want to replace. Okay, what is that? In add controller, we are writing this kind of a logger object. We don't want to do that. Lombok has given one nice annotation. Just apply that at class level. @SLF4J. Just say this is also a Lombok annotation. When you add this, by default, Lombok is going to create an object of logger with the name log dot like this. Just observe. It is not giving any compilation problem. Generally, you know, right? Okay, if you don't have this kind of a variable, compilation problems are going to come. Log hello. Just see, if the variable does not exist, this kind of problem will come, compilation. But when we do it with log, that problem is not coming. And if you click on this log, IDs are intelligent. Just see, it is even highlighting SLF4J. Okay, nothing but when you use this SLF4J, internally that object is created for you and you are able to use that. Just observe, when you do a mouse over here, it is an object of logger. So SLF4J annotation has created this object. So you don't have to use this anymore. You don't have to use this anymore. Now code is again simplified or not. That's it. Defining that logger object everywhere is not required. SLF4J annotation, which is given by Lombok, is taking care. Like that, in every class, you can do it in similar manner itself. On this add service, just do @SLF4J, and then you don't need to use this. You simply use this one. You simply use this one. That's how. Second advantage, how we can use Lombok to simplify our coding related work. Object can be removed by simply doing this. What are your testing steps? Save everything. No problem in compilation. No problem during the service startup. Last statement is saying started 8081. Red mark is available. You can go here and you can call, and yes, this is working. Behind the screen, everything happened. Just see, loggers are also coming properly. The way we use logger, with log also it is coming the same way, and all the messages are also done. That's the next experiment, right? Using Lombok. Why to use Lombok? Okay, code simplification, easy to read, removing the boilerplate code. Lombok will auto-generate some code for us so that we don't have to do it. And that is what we can remove boilerplate code from our project, like getter, setter, toString kind of methods, logger object creations. Some constructor creations can also be removed. Lombok is providing these kind of annotations. Do you know this? Okay, @no_arg constructor. It will create a no-arg constructor for you. You do a control O, just see no-arg constructor created. So it will automatically keep doing a lot of things for you. You can do required arg, no arg. A lot of nice annotations will come with Lombok. Okay, fine. So we made the change. Now we are going to test it. It is all working. Everything is saved. We verified. Fine. The final topic for today, and it is a simple topic again, Sonar. So we are done with this also. Lombok understanding is done. 14 points we are covering today, from basic till whatever is needed for the project. Now comes the final point, Sonar. Okay, concept of Sonar is very interesting. Dekho guys, whenever a beginner comes in the project, okay, 9 out of 10 beginners don't know what are the best practices of coding. 9 out of 10 freshers don't know best practices. Almost many times 10 out of 10 will not know. They will know how to write some basic code. They learn some coding in whatever, maybe in somewhere. But the best practices of coding, 9 out of 10 freshers from college pass out do not know that. And then what is happening? There is a very big risk if these freshers are taken and just applied to the project, because they are going to create a mess in the project. They don't know what is good, what is bad. Industry is now concerned because of this. And this problem happened long time earlier. Industry has already solved that problem. Okay. So that is where comes the next experiment. Sonar. Okay. What industry did? The best practices of coding. The best practices of coding is configured in Sonar software, and you can add Sonar support in your IDE. Next, when you are writing your code, if you are violating some best practices, then IDE will raise concern to you. Then you are supposed to study it and fix it. This is where Sonar comes in picture for you guys. Okay, let's read it together. This is really great because freshers will need 1 year to really understand how to build the right system. So much of code review will be needed. So much of hand holding is going to be required. But because of Sonar, now life is simple. With AI, it is much more simple. And freshers can also, right from the beginning, build very great code by using these kind of tools. So what is Sonar? Some best practices of coding is configured in Sonar software. You need to add that Sonar support in your IDE. And then whenever you are doing some code, if you make some problems, Sonar is going to read that for you. Okay, for example, just look here. I went to addition controller. There is no problem right now here. Addition controller, everything is happy. Okay. Now, if you just use something like this, let's say system.out.println and do a save. Observe, on line number 21, some blue color mark has come. And if I do a mouse over on that, it is saying replace the use of system.out by a logger. What is this? It is a Sonar code recommendation. So already in my IDE setup, so whenever we try to make some mistakes or violations here and there, Sonar is going to highlight in this kind of blue marks and keep giving you suggestion. Hey, this is wrong, that is wrong. The way all compilation problems will come at this place, all Sonar is also called as, guys, static code analyzer. People will say, what is Sonar? Static code analyzer. It is going to analyze your code. It is analyzing your code, giving you suggestions, giving you feedbacks. Kind of a review is happening for your coding. Best practices basically is being applied. How exactly that happens? Okay, now there is another tab, Sonar Cube on the fly. If you click that, it is telling you all of these things. It is telling you all of these things. Okay, at this line number in addition controller, this guy has created a mistake here. Is just showing that kind of a statement. Now then we will know, oh, replace the use with a logger. So that itself will guide you. I am not supposed to use system.out.println, but I am supposed to do something else. Now, okay, how to add Sonar? Okay, multiple things. Now we have to discuss how to set up Sonar. Okay, the approach is pretty simple. Help. For IDE Eclipse, we can go for Eclipse Marketplace. Okay, help Eclipse Marketplace. It will take some time to launch. From here, you need to search for Sonar and add it in your project. For example, Sonar cube, enter. Just see, Sonar cube, enter. It is coming, giving here as an option, and now we can it's already installed. So once it is not installed, it will give you the install button, continue with the installation, whatever pop-ups and confirmations required, do that. If it asks for a restart, restart that. But yes, by this way, let me just put this screenshot for your reference. Just search like this, and Sonar cube setup needs to be applied. It is going to give support to best practices of coding real time when you are doing some coding. So every developer, every junior, right from day one, should integrate Sonar cube and work with it. It will keep giving you suggestions. Whenever these suggestions are coming, you need to act on it. So it's already installed in my machine, so it is visible. Let's say by mistake you close this. Sometimes it happens, we close it. How to reopen it? Okay, here Windows, show view, here Sonar is going to be available. If it is not visible for you here, just click others and type Sonar. Here you can find that type Sonar on the fly, and you can open it from here again. Okay, when you click on the class, it basically is going to start tracking your changes again. So this much of Sonar basic is required. Furthermore, if you want to do, now you can play around with ChatGPT. Okay, so suggest me top 10 best practices of coding, what Sonar cube expects from Java developer. Alright, let's see what comes out. Now, up to your curiosity, these things can be done. When it comes to Java development, Sonar cube and general professional coding standards emphasize you need to write clean, maintainable, efficient code. Here are the top 10 best practices every Java developer should follow. And then, yes, naming conventions, methods should be small and single purpose, avoid code duplication, proper exception handling, writing of the proper unit test casing, following solid principles when you are making it, avoiding some magic numbers, okay, and use constants or enums instead of literals. Nothing but don't do any hard codings. Okay, Sonar cube flags magic numbers as code smells. Let's, if you are curious to know this, okay, explain more. Explain more. What exactly? Let's say you don't know what is this. So let's deep dive into this. What is a magic number? A magic number is a literal numeric or something, a string value used directly in the code without any explanation. Okay, without any explanation. So 18 appears, okay, in the code magically. It means unclear or someone reading it later. So why magic code are bad? So something about that also, right? So Sonar will detect these kind of things. It will give you suggestions, and then you have to fix it. How do you fix it? Okay, it's even giving you some examples. Define it as constants and use it like that. So it is self-explanatory that 18 is a minimum age. So it is more clear. So these kind of things basically. Okay, so using Sonar, best practices of coding, code becomes clean, readable, efficient, and that is where every developer should set up Sonar, and whatever suggestions are coming, check whether it is applicable for you and then try to implement it. Okay, so don't simply discard everything which is coming, and that is important. Okay, so yes, we don't need to use this, and that is the last 14th topic for today, using Sonar as static code analyzer to improve your code quality. Okay, so we can safely say point number 14 is also done. So yesterday we created first application, and as part of today, we finished experimenting with it. What did we do? Working with multiple ports, instances, Java setup, working with multiple IPs, customizing the domain, knowing how the domains work DNS and lookups, used ChatGPT to develop a REST web API, made it work like a layered application, controller entry, service business logic, experimented with get and post, made a successful call from post, checked how GitHub Copilot is suggesting code for speeding our development, used DevTool, used Logger, used Lombok, used Sonar. So I can take this entire list. I can take this entire list and put it as part of today's session notes. So a breakpoint in the beginning itself will give you all the things which we are supposed to know. Okay, we started with experiments, and here is the list for one short summary. Today you are supposed to do all this and do it till the time you become confident. Okay, chalo guys, let's take the attendance and complete the today's session. Tomorrow we will meet for day number 4, and even discussion for joining on week 2 will happen. Plus tomorrow we will continue with profile and environment related discussions. Okay, and this week itself we need to even deploy it on AWS and test. So deploying on AWS means deploying it on some environment. So profile, environment, AWS, these are all topics which come in sequence. That's how we will be continuing it as well. So October attendance. So far, 3,000 members have marked attendance from day 1 and day 2. Lot of members are watching it offline and doing it. But guys, practice is the key. Step 1 is good. Some of you might have skipped some of the session and still marked attendance. But guys, attendance tracking comes secondary. First is watch the session and then mark attendance. Daily, solid 5-6 hours additionally you put, you will become extremely knowledgeable. Okay, but great to see 3,000 members online, offline, continuing with daily things. Let's see, today's is day number 3. So copying this, we go back here, we come here, and guys, code for today is 3333. Let's go. Here is the link. Everybody, please take it up. Good stuff, guys. Practice it. 14 pointers, but lot of discussions, and these are basic things. We need it in project. That is where we covered it today. And we should understand 30% people have not completed the first setup. If you have not done that, how can you complete today's topic? 2 days ka work will pile up, and very soon you will be like, oh, there is so much to be done. I don't know. I'm not understanding. How will you how will you understand if you don't do practically, right? So please do it practically. If anybody of you is not in our WhatsApp group where we share all the recordings, materials, and further updates, so please join the group there. It is going to be useful and all informations will be shared there. Okay, fine. Chalo guys, thank you everybody for your time. We will be connecting back tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow 10 a.m. Thank you all. Take care of yourself. Bye bye. So stopping the recording. Internally we do some backup recording. Stream. Thank you guys. Take care. See you tomorrow 10 a.m. Bye bye.